One. The big show is here. Sorry, my voice, guys. Pardon my voice, but the weather's crazy out here. Got everybody sick. Coop's over here sick too. But we had to check in with the people, man. How you doing other than that, sir?
I'm just letting people know I'm probably going to blow my nose during this show at some point.
Well, I'm probably going to be sipping a whole lot of tea.
Yeah, I did that all this morning.
Yeah.
Just real quick about the weather and the climate here in Georgia. The biggest fault line in this hemisphere is actually under the entire state of Georgia.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it makes for really messed up weather. Like as in how it's been hot the last 2 weeks, but now it's been cold and wet and windy the last couple days with a little bit of pollen mixed in. It's literally some of the worst weather in the country.
So it was like 70 something, right? And then a gust of wind and rain came, and then it ended up being like 40 something. And I was
It's
fine
getting colder
yesterday.
this week too.
Yeah, I was fine this week.
Colder.
People are asking what happened to us. What happened to us is we told you guys that we're going to have to make some moves on our Monday show, and we missed last Wednesday. But we got some surprises that are coming where you guys are going to be okay with that.
I just wanted to say something right quick. I think people don't understand how many sacrifices and compromises we've made the last 4 years to make sure this show gets done.
Right.
And the reality of the matter is that I have court-ordered classes that I can't miss. Mike has a new job that he can't miss. I have a full-time job and salaried career that, quite frankly, had a major nationally known publicly televised event happen that I had to work. And in the midst of that, my daughter turned 17.
Happy birthday. I didn't know. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, her birthday was last Monday and her party was Sunday. It's just, life happened. And
so was your mother's birthday too? Because I know you got like...
Yes, that is correct. Glad you remember the cycle. So there's a 3-day stretch where it's my mother's birthday one day, my daughter's birthday the next day, and my second oldest sister's birthday the next day. And my niece just turned 18 on the 15th. My oldest brother, I believe, just turned 51 on the 16th. My aunt just turned 29 on the 10th. This is the month of birthdays. My second oldest brother's birthday is on the 21st. So this is what I like to call my murderer's row of birthday times. But most notably, my mom and my daughter being born literally one day after another. And
you got hold on. You got a 29-year-old aunt?
No. I was just joking.
I was about to say.
She wouldn't want me to tell her age.
I got you. My aunt's birthday is today too. Shout out to Aunt Karen.
Yeah, but my mom and my daughter being born literally a day apart is really like a reflective time for me. You know what I mean? The woman who gave me life and my only begotten child are literally born one day apart. So it's a really reflective and special time for me every year. It makes me appreciate life. My mother and I are 20 years apart. My daughter and I are 25 years apart. So there's some numerology going on with the cycle too.
007 checking in with the super chat. He says, glad y'all are alive. Hope all is well. Shout out to 007. I got to call you back too. He hit me up the other day.
Yeah, me too. He hit me up. I was supposed to hit him back, but it's been a crazy 2 weeks.
Crazy 2 weeks. But good 2 weeks. Outside of, catching a little cold yesterday. But we haven't been on. Go ahead.
Well, just real quick, here's the thing about it, Mike. When all the women in your life who matter the most, or at least a good majority of them, are all born in the same week, you end up paying the bill at Papa Do's, Mike, and that's not cheap.
Oh,
you gotta take your ass to work.
Yeah, you got to make sure you get that in.
Yeah.
We haven't been on in a second, and we haven't talked about this All-Star game, because I know we normally start off with the sports. The NBA All-Star game where they scored 200 some odd points. It was funny. The game came on, and I was telling Maya, it was like right before the game came on. I was like, yeah, it's probably going to be 180 to 182. Well, I undershot them. 210 points. What do you think needs to be done about the NBA All-Star game or anything, or All-Star weekend? Because I thought the whole All-Star weekend was a bit flat.
I mean, you want to know what? I can remember being a little bit younger and people telling me that well, football and basketball isn't the same as it was when it was, their time. Like people who watch basketball 60s, 70s, even mid 80s. I think we're late 80s, early 90s is when we picked up our sporting viewing.
Yep.
Mike, these guys are just super soft. They're not competitive enough. And they don't care enough. And I don't like it because you're making in a year, like these All-Stars are making more in a year than most people are going to make in a lifetime. And I understand that it's a festivity. But the beautiful thing about the NBA All-Star game used to be that when the fourth quarter came around, it got played like a playoff game, Mike.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jordan played like it was the NBA Finals at the end of All-Star games. Akeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill,
Kobe Bryant,
Akeem Olajuwon, John Stockton, Karl Malone. Like these guys played like it meant something to them. Barkley. Like they showed a clip from the All-Star game where Barkley and Pippen are going against each other. And I mean, a fight's borderline about to break out. Do you remember when Dwayne Wade broke Kobe's nose?
I remember that.
Like,
where did things go wrong? Where do you think this happened? Because even when we're talking about competitive All-Star games, we could go back to Wade and Kobe. We only have to go back to Jordan, Barkley, and Stockton.
So I'm going to tell you the truth, and I don't do this too often. I blame LeBron, KD, and Steph.
All three?
All three.
What's Steph got to do?
Because all three of them niggas be too happy and too nice to each other. Fuck
they
all
are nice
that.
Guys. They are nice guys.
Man, I don't give a damn.
Because
not when we're on the court.
Do we have any villains in the NBA right now? Do we have like any superstar villains?
No. Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas used to be the best friends off the basketball court. Mike, when they were on the court, they were trying to kill each other. They tried to kill each other on the court. Like, I see you after the game. We'll open a nice little bottle of Bordeaux. Right now, I'm about to bust that ass real good. And these dudes just don't have that. And Mike, this is what I'm saying. That's a heart thing.
Yeah.
That's a heart thing. And I do blame LeBron, KD, and Steph for being too friendly. Like with everybody. Fuck all that.
I'll take it a step further, Coop. I kind of blame the system that guys come up in, that AU system, that you know what I mean, where everybody's basically been friends since they were kids, and it's continued on into the pros. TJ with the super chat says, "Salute to Cam and Mase for their alleged purchase of Harlem dudes sticking together." You heard about that?
Is it just conjecture? Or is there some factual proof that
I don't know?
Do we have any paperwork? Right.
We don't know, but if that's what happened, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Full circle moment.
Even what Jay and Biggs tried to do is like, yeah.
Andrew Williams with the super chat says, why was LeBron capping the whole All-Star weekend? Andrew Williams also said things went wrong when Kobe retired. Well, all right.
Like, do you remember when Kobe got on LeBron for passing the ball? Kobe was like, "No, nigga, me and you. You and me. No.
I remember that.
This me and you. Damn passing the ball. Like Carmelo and Wade don't get the ball. You and me. Let's go. Now.
I think the 3-point contest is the only redeeming factor in All-Star weekend right now.
I don't agree.
What?
That's whack too.
You think that's whack too? You know what? Yeah. You know what I don't like, and I'm gonna keep it real. I don't like all the money balls, and I hate to sound like an old nigga or whatever. Just keep the regular money balls where it's like, yeah, everybody gets one money ball at the end of their rack. You know what I mean? Like all of this, you got a 6-point ball over here. You got a rack full of money balls over here. Like, nah, I didn't like that.
Hey, like real talk. I don't think any of these guys would beat Larry Bird in a shooting competition. And Steph and Clay are better shooters than Larry.
Steph would.
But he wouldn't. But like Larry be out there to bust your ass even in a 3-point contest. He'd be like, so y'all not winning today? Because I feel like winning today.
I mean, he's probably one of the most competitive players that we've ever seen. I don't know who's the most competitive player in this era. I mean, before this year, I probably would have said Damian Lillard, but without championships, that's hard to really say. You know what I mean?
It is. If you're just talking on a pound for pound, inherently like game to game basis, it is Dame. And I'm happy Dame won MVP, but that's about the only thing that I was happy about during the festivities was that he won MVP. These dudes soft as hell. I'll tell them to their face. I'll look up at them and tell them to their face, like you're playing soft as hell, right?
But where does this come from, though? Does it come from the refereeing?
I mean, the rules are definitely more lax to make offense more of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But a fish rots from the head. And who have been the 3 marquee stars in our league for the past 10 to 15 years?
Yeah,
that would be LeBron, KD, and Steph.
Yeah, the stars set the
LeBron,
tone.
KD, and Steph. And I really blame LeBron and KD because it's like, how about this? The way they get busy on each other in the finals is how they need to get busy on each other during the All-Star game, and they haven't done it one time.
It's true. I will say this. Probably the most competitive finals that I've seen in recent memory would have been when LeBron and Kyrie, they win at Golden State. And then they came back from that 3-1 deficit. Was it 3-1? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what we saw in LeBron in that series, I don't think we've seen in the finals since. I mean, I know we haven't seen it since because it's rare that we saw it even before then. But just that level of competitiveness where you're like, you know what, we're going to win this. And I didn't see that level of competitiveness on Golden State side. Now, if we want to be real here, and y'all know how I feel on this show, I might have to blame Golden State for all of the way that the NBA plays right now because basically the NBA is going to pattern itself after the champions. So all of this shooting from wherever, not really being gritty and, going for it like that, we can really blame Golden State for that.
Yeah, because, I mean, do you remember when LeBron screamed on Steph and was like big dogged him? Like, little nigga, like you in the wrong part of the lane. It's like,
it was over after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was over after that.
That was the play where the series was over after that because it's like when Steph didn't respond and say something back, I was like, oh, we got a problem.
As great as Steph is, he's not going to scream on you and go out there and just turn everything out. These guys grow up looking at Steph. Like, Steph is the guy to look to at this point.
Do you remember when Michael Jordan got that 3-point play on the Knicks where, like, Xavier McDaniel pretty much came and, like, tried to, like, cut him up from under? And he was still able to, like, almost dunk and throw the ball in the basket. And Mike hulked up on them and screamed. That was Ewing Oakley and Xavier McDaniel.
Yeah.
That he did that, too. Mike is 6'6".
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Oakley is his best friend. He didn't give no fucks about that, Mike.
Yo, shout out to Jarv. Shout out to Jarv in the building. He said, blame Mike D'Antoni. I'm with that because Mike D'Antoni's system, it was heralded to a level that it should have never been heralded. It never gave us any chance. He gave us MVP.
He got no damn ring.
Yeah, exactly.
He got no damn ring.
But he continuously got opportunities. And honestly, that Golden State system is similar to the Mike D'Antoni system, except for they play defense, which is a big
Listen here, when you have 2 of the 5 greatest shooters of all time on one team, you can play that way and win. You do understand that the only way that you're winning that way is if you have 2 of the 5 greatest shooters of all time. And here's the thing about it. It still took KD and LeBron's prime to get them 2 of those 4 rings because they're losing those rings to Cleveland without LeBron. I mean, without KD. LeBron's winning those rings.
Does the triangle work without Jordan, Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe?
We don't know.
Yeah. All 7 with the super chat says the NBA All-Star Game needs to be ditched. Both teams attempted 180 plus threes. Worst one ever. This is what I want to say before we move on, though. I do think the slam dunk contest, if they're going to let G League guys play, I would like for the NBA to get guys off the streets, the guys that we see on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, that can do all these crazy dunks and offer them a 10-day contract. Because the stars aren't going to play. And especially if you got this guy, the Opie looking guy that's playing out of the G League, you think LeBron James or whoever is going to go out there and get beat by this guy? They're not going to, the stars aren't going to enter. So if you're going to just let everybody do it, let the best dunkers in the world do it then.
The All-Star game, the actual game, is still the main attraction.
Yeah.
And because it's the main attraction, that's still the thing that needs to be fixed. And, you know, that's what I mean is like these dudes aren't Aggie at all. Like Barkley was Aggie, Malone was Aggie, Michael Jordan's Aggie. Like them dudes is Isaiah Thomas, Magic, these Bird, like these are the type of guys. It's like, nah, like they're not trying to lose even a pickup game, Mike. You get what I'm saying?
No, I got you. We don't have guys like that anymore.
Yeah,
guys are trying to get their check, and that's cool. But I mean, as a viewer, we miss that. Now, I'm all for players taking over their own careers and their livelihoods and getting their check. Get your money. You know what I mean? Like, I want that to happen. But as a fan of the game, I also want to see some competitive basketball. Like when KD went to Golden State. From a personal standpoint, I understand why he went there. I get it. I don't knock that. But as a viewer of basketball, I didn't want to see that. I already knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it took him tearing his ACL for a finals to be competitive.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I would just like, I mean, not to be like it. There just needs to be a little bit more tension. Like KG and Paul Pierce were telling the story about how like when they were in Boston and Wade and Bosh and LeBron were in Miami, they were in the same locker room, like on opposite side of the locker room, not even talking to each other really. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, whether people like Paul Pierce or not, and I know people love KG, one thing you can say about Paul Pierce, he's competitive. And even to the point where he'll tell you that he's a better player than Dwayne Wade. Now, you might not agree with him on that, but I respect his competitiveness. I respect Agent Zero, Gilbert Arenas, his competitiveness.
Yeah, no, I respect it. I mean, Paul Pierce saying that is utterly ridiculous, but yes.
No, I love Paul Pierce. Like, I'm a Paul Pierce fan. But I will say this.
We're actually going to
go ahead.
We're actually going to talk about Paul when we talk about this Benzino interview because Paul Pierce made the Benzino Drink Champs interview.
Oh, man. We should talk about this Benzino interview, man. People have been hitting me up for 2 weeks to talk about this. Daniel with the super chat says, NBA All-Star Game fix. The players on the losing teams are eligible for next year's game. Ineligible.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Right. He said NBA All-Star fix. The players on the losing teams are ineligible for next year's game. That's pretty harsh, though. I think that's a lot. I think what you could do what baseball does. You get home court advantage in the finals. Now,
I actually like that. That's one of the more impressive things baseball has done in the last 2 decades.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is, I lost my train of thought. No, we're talking about the All-Star game. Oh yeah, do you like the East versus West, or do you like when they were doing like the whole pickup game thing?
No, the picking players thing, that's some soft ass shit. That's all.
I didn't like
my
that
best
either.
friend.
Yeah,
it's like you niggas are soft, man. Like no, like
you sound like 50 Cent.
They are
weak,
soft. They are. They are weak though, Mike. It's like I'd be like, I don't know. I'm just a different type of dude. I'd be out there, be like, hey, about to bust your ass tonight. You know that, right?
What the NBA does right now is similar to what we saw Floyd do in his career. Now, again, from a strategic standpoint, I respect it.
No. But Floyd never beat anybody. Like these guys are actually beating each other. These guys are somebody. It's not the same thing.
Okay. Web Visibility with the super chat says, maybe there needs to be a playoff implications to the NBA All-Star game like baseball. There it is. Yeah, I'm with that. Benzino, or do you want to talk about this J. Cole song? Because this J. Cole song was crazy. All right. I do want to talk about J. Cole real quick. Because if it's coming like this is album of the year stuff.
Trouble.
His production, how do I say this? Him being on tour with Drake, really helps. We're talking about stadium music. We're talking about fan reaction. I mean, you saw it in the Garden when you went to go see Nas, right? Like, those things matter when people see how people are reacting to big songs. He's going to start leaning towards that type of production, and that's what I heard in this record. The flow's always going to be there. The lyrics are always there. He sounds hungry. I like what he's saying, talking about basically like he's a new guy this far ahead in his career. Basically saying, what he say? He said something about this new album is like if Jay dropped Reasonable Doubt at last or something. Like, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Drake might have been that push he needed.
Short of this side of the Nas hit run we just seen, I'm trying to think of somebody that sounded this invigorated, that was this accomplished this late in their career.
Right.
Like, that's the thing that I'm hearing from him more than anything else. The most impressive part is that it's like, no, he's about as accomplished as anybody in this generation, not named Drake or Kendrick.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways comparable in terms of accomplishments. And for him to be this accomplished and this lauded for his generation and to be this hungry.
Yeah.
Like, how about this? What J. Cole just did on that record is what I want the NBA ball players to do during the All-Star game. Like, I know you're rich beyond your wildest imagination. I know you're here every year. I know you've been doing it for a while. But will you give a damn enough to bust a nigga ass?
Hold on. Are we tripping? Because, I mean, I see some people in the chat saying that the song's just cool. Let me put this in the poll real quick. Let's see. Is J. Cole's... Because we want to listen to the people. I don't want to be biased here. Is J. Cole...
I'm not listening to the people about this shit. Carolina in the house. Been waiting for this shit for 2 years. Been talking this shit for 2 years. Let's go.
Hold on, let me see.
I told you, all I want to do, Mike, is say unequivocally and without any sort of crack or flaw that the best MC in the game is from North Carolina. That's all I want to do.
I mean, you're very close to seeing that.
I know, I'm very close. It's very close. It's coming.
I
told you it's coming. This album's the album. It's going to be the album. It's going to be the album of the year.
I will say this. Somebody said, can y'all play it? No, we don't want all kind of strikes on our page. I don't even know if that song's still up. You got to Google it. But I'll say this. I've been more critical about J. Cole's career than I would say anybody. And I'm impressed with this song. I mean, it is what it is.
LP, ain't nobody talking about no damn little brother. Little brother not fucking with Cole. So tired of having this conversation.
Oh, when people say little brother, no, let's dial this back. When you say little brother, people are talking about Fontaine because y'all not talking about, because clearly y'all not talking about rapper Big Pooh and J. Cole.
It's not a conversation.
J. Cole's nicer than Fontaine. It is what it is.
Mike, they're not. To quote Jay-Z, we don't play in the same league. We don't shoot at the same basket. It's not. I love Fonte, but it's just not. No,
I do too.
No,
I don't want it to come across as anything else, but I'm just being objective here. And to me, I've always said this. I think Ninth Wonder, he's the star of Little Brother to me. Fonte's a dope MC, but yeah,
not about to be objective. J. Cole, album of the year. Been saying it for 2 years. I just need the album of the year out of him.
Well, I think Schoolboy is going to have something to say about that. We'll get to that in a second, too. But from what I'm hearing right now from J. Cole, I'm liking it. And I think that this tour with Drake is really affecting him in a positive way. I think this is what he really needed. We always talk about what J. Cole's missing. And I think that this tour is helping him figure out those holes that he needs to fill in. And based on this record I just heard, I think he's getting it. And this is about to be fire. And you know what? To some degree, and I said this in a previous show, Drake might be his executive producer, even if it's not credited. Like, just being there.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I told you. As long as he's not rapping over his beats, everything's going to be all right.
Well, he did that on the last album. He diversified his production, but something was still missing. But
I think that album had good songs, but those songs didn't connect. Like, you have to connect. Like, the music was inherently good, but it didn't connect. He needs to connect on this one. It's like
somebody said Cole listens to A2HH. That's what's up.
I believe that.
I believe
We
it.
have a North Carolina following. One of the co-hosts was from the 704.
Yeah. Oh, we got okay. Art of Nobody with the super chat says Cole needs to step into that underground ring. It's cool out to out rap Lil Yachty, but Conway, Match Homie, Rock Marciano are different animals. Schoolboy Q. Schoolboy Q did, excuse me. Jermaine Johnson with the super chat says Scarface was late in his career when he dropped The Fix. And when he was doing the classic features collaborations with Hove and Beans. He wasn't this late
Yeah,
though.
it wasn't this late, and Scarface already had made The Diary. J. Cole
Yeah.
doesn't have an album as good as The Diary.
And see, that's the different thing about J. Cole too. I don't think there's an MC that's held this high that hasn't made that definitive piece of work that we know he can make. That's why he's able to say he's about to drop Reasonable Doubt. You know what I mean? Like
Face's first album is in 91, right?
Yeah, and it's a classic.
When the Fix come out? 2000?
2001.
2001? Okay, so in 10 years, he made 3 classics. The first album, The Diary, and The Fix.
Yep.
So by the time he was 10 years in, he had 3 classics under his belt and was borderline on a couple of occasions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's not the same thing. And Cole just didn't have anything fucking with The Diary. Or The Fix, actually. You think Forest Hills Drive better than The Fix? Because I don't.
No. That's not
what I mean. You remember the Kanye joint, Cold Blood? In Cold Blood? It's in blood. Yeah, that shit crazy.
The Gladys Knight sample, shit's crazy.
Yeah, that shit crazy.
I love that record. The Neptune record's crazy on there too. The one with Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The In Between Us joint with Nas.
Yep. Now The Fix.
Guess who's back?
Shit. Do you think The Fix should have got 5 mics?
My Block. Yeah.
You think it should have got 5?
You know the main reason I want to talk. You know the main reason I want to talk about the Benzino shit, though, right? See, you're worried about Eminem.
I'm not worried about Eminem at all. The fans.
No, that's what you want to talk about, Mike. What he confirmed to me, what arguably was supposed to be the greatest 2-week stretch in hip hop history, never happened because Illmatic and Southern Playalistic were released a week apart.
Okay.
And he just admitted that everybody up there wanted to give Southern Playalistic 5 mics except for him. And so that would have been 5 mic albums and back-to-back meets. And you know what else that says, Mike? That means the people up in that building saw Southern Playalistic was better than Ready to Die.
Let me say this. I understand that. I think Biggie's a better MC than Dre and Big on Ready to Die, but I think from a production standpoint and just from an innovative standpoint and just an overall music making standpoint, I could see Southern Playalistic being a better album than Ready to Die. What Ready to Die has that its contemporaries didn't have at the time was these big ass singles. And we also have to factor in One More Chance remix doesn't exist at that point, right? So we're looking at the regular One More Chance. And
I think, you have to look. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, there's been a lot of additives over the years to Ready to Die. And so you're going to have to look at Ready to Die in its raw form. No Who Shot You, no One More Chance remix. It's just, no the regular dreams. Versions. Yeah.
Well, I think here's the thing about it. Both of them are 4.5 mic albums, as rated by The Source. And the highs on Ready to Die are higher than Southern Playalistic, but the lows are actually lower too. Southern Playalistic doesn't have any low moments. You bring up all the time about how you don't really care for Respect, Friend of Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those records, like everything on Southern Playalistics is better than those records.
What's the worst song on Southern Playalistic? Call It a Wild to me. Much respect to
Ditto.
But
Ditto. And think about that song though. If that's the worst song on your album, you do have a 5 mic album. That's CeeLo on the hook. I hear voices in my
and it's a
head.
dope song. Like they spitting on there too.
Yeah, that's one of Andre's best verses on the album, actually.
I mean, Cujo's on there, the most introspective person in the dungeon at that point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would say Deep is probably I think Deep is probably the second worst song.
I like Deep. Deep.
I like
you
Deep
wanna
too.
Go deep? I'll take you deep. You know you fucked up when you let my mind creep deeper than the page of a book. Let me look. You let me hit the stage. Now I got my folks hooked like Deep. No, like Deep is dope. That's what I mean. If those are your weak records.
Yeah, those are the weak records. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad record, but Hootie Who's better than Deep. Crumbling Herbs better than Deep.
I mean, those might be the 2 best records on the album, Mike.
Southern Playalistic's better than Deep. Players Ball's better than Deep. Like, Get Up, Get Out. And then we're going to talk about we'll talk about like the versatility and subject matter and all of that. I think it's a more cohesive effort than Ready to Die in that sense too, if you want to talk about content. So, yeah, I mean, I've never thought about it in those terms, but I thought I was being biased, but yeah, I think Southern Playalistic could be better than Ready to Die.
I always felt like it was better than Ready to Die. I told you it's their second best album. See, like,
it is
not to be funny, but
yeah,
but cats on the East Coast like swear by ATLians, and I'm like, that's because that's their hip hop New York sounding rap.
That's because it sounds like you guys, yeah. And that's no disrespect to ATLians. I got it right here on vinyl. I love ATLians, but it's an easy third. It's an easy third.
Yeah, it's not better than Southern Playalistic.
They're better rappers on ATLians than they are on Southern Playalistic, but the production job on Southern Playalistic is incredible.
So let's have this conversation. The reason the East Coast cats love Southern Playalistic, love ATLians more than Southern Playalistic, is Dre's mic performance, because he's more traditional, classic lyricist, more in the vein of a Nas, a Biggie, a Rakim on ATLians.
It's their boom bap album. Yeah.
It's the boom bap album. There's literally a record called Wheels of Steel, Mike.
Dope record.
One of my favorites.
But see, let's just be honest here. I don't think if ATLians comes out first, it has the impact on the city in the South that Southern Playalistic does. Southern Playalistic sounds like it created our soundscape. ATLians wouldn't have been able to do that.
It's like, how about this? I think people need to understand that aren't from down here. The way that Atlanta and the South, I think in particular, looks at Southern Playalistic is very comparable to the way the East Coast cats look at Paid in Full and It Takes a Nation of Millions.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, what the fuck is that? That's what we sound like. That's what it is.
Yeah. And and I don't want to get on this, but when we have these Ludacris conversations, it's the same thing. Like, Ludacris doesn't have an album like T.I.'s trap music. When you hear trap music, I'm like, that's what we sound like. Now, even I'm Serious, when T.I. came with that, I wasn't a big fan of that album because that's not what we sound like. It was something that wasn't, I don't want to say authentic, but it wasn't authentic to hear. Trap music is a soundtrack of this city and this town. That's why I love Soul Food so much. Soul Food is the soundtrack to the city. We love Young Bloods because of that too, but some people just don't have that sonic connection to the soil like that. And I think that's the one thing that Luda misses in his catalog, is an album that genuinely did that. Because does Luda rap better than Jeezy? Of course he does. But Jeezy has Thug Motivation 101. Luda ain't got one of them. And y'all know I'm not even
and all y'all thinking
that like that.
And all of y'all thinking that Ready to Die is better than Southern Playalistic, you don't want to go song for song. I'll tell you that right now. You don't want to go song for song.
Clayton is asleep with the super chat says, what did y'all think of Skyzoo and Ninth Wonder's collaborative project in 2006? Stop Fooling Yourself is my favorite track. I love that project. I love the stuff that Ninth Wonder did with Murs too. Ninth Wonder is the star of Little Brother. I will say that again. Mall7 with the super chat says, I'd rather listen to Southern Playalistic. It aged better too. Yeah, I mean, listen. Again, I love Ready to Die, but if we're taking out all of the remixes and all of the stuff that was added after the fact, yeah, it's Southern Playalistic. But if we got Who Shot You on there, we got One More Chance remix on there, we have a different conversation. But you bring up a good point, though, Coop. The low ends on Ready to Die are much lower than Southern Playalistic because if those are the weak
The highs are high.
songs,
The highs are higher, but the lows are lower. It's like Everyday Struggle. I think for most people, like Get Up, Get Out is probably the best song on Southern Playalistic.
I think so.
Yep. And
Objective.
for a lot of people, I think Everyday Struggle is the best song on Ready to Die. You do understand those songs are comparable, right? You feel what I'm saying?
Leroy didn't like, super chat.
Players Ball and Big Papa are comparable. You feel what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Southern Playalistic has an answer for Juicy. But
I do, but I think the song Southern Playalistic is comparable to Warning, like in terms of the quality level. That's what I mean.
Oh, yeah. Quality's a whole different conversation, yeah.
Yeah.
The quality's there on Southern Playalistic, and Ready to Die ain't got no funky ride on it. That I could imagine the people at the source listening to that album, they hear Funky Ride and they hear this electric guitar solo, which rap albums really weren't doing at that point. They're probably like, yo, this is some other shit.
Mike, like Crumbling Herb into Hootie Hoo, I think those are tracks 14 and 15.
Yep.
It's blowing track 14 and 15 on Ready to Die out the water.
But I'm glad you mentioned that transition. Those transitions and that album sequencing, we don't see that type of stuff in the streaming era anymore. Like the sequencing on Southern Playalistic is phenomenal. Really, that's one of the things about Outkast that I don't say but people don't talk about as much. Outkast's sequencing when it came to their albums was phenomenal, beginning to end. Stankonia, even though I don't love Stankonia as much as I like the first three efforts, it had some dope sequencing. Really, Stankonia's issue is the fact that it's probably the weakest sequenced album that they did. Because you listen to The Love Below, the sequencing on there is perfect.
So I think here's the thing that sometimes people forget too. Southern Playalistic, like I say this respectfully, the East Coast hasn't dissected Southern Playalistic the way we dissected Ready to Die. Because they weren't ready for Southern Playalistic. They were ready for Ready to Die. So the amount of time that we spent listening to Ready to Die is probably double, triple the time that those cats that are saying this in the chat spent listening to Southern Playalistic. And so we're not really having the same conversation because the level to which we dissect things is different because we were indoctrinated into New York hip hop, obviously, because it's the Mecca. Southern Playalistic is the South's coming out party.
Mm-hmm.
And so the level that we're listening to is just totally different. And that's why some of the people are saying what they're saying. Like, if you don't think Everyday Struggle and Get Up, Get Out are comparable records, I hate to be the one to break it to you. CeeLo's verse on Get Up and Get Out is better than every verse Big has on Everyday Struggle.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
Oh, how about this? How about this? Did Biggie get any rhymes for the month for Everyday Struggle? Because CeeLo did. And that's from a New York publication. How you think that happened?
Leroy didn't super chat, but he asked what Atlanta hits did Luda have on his first album. It's a good question.
What Atlanta hits? I mean, I think Southern Hospitality's on the first album. Southern Hospitality.
That was a hit out here?
I was still in North Carolina, but I can remember coming down here and it was still playing when I got down here and when I came down here a few times.
That's when I was in Montgomery at Alabama State. So I remember hearing it out there. I mean, I can't speak for the clubs out here. I know Move was a hit in the clubs out here, but that was on Word of Mouth. I remember they used to play that at the Bounce. He did that video at the Bounce too. So, but if you want to really make a real correlation here, at that time period, Pastor Troy was running the city. And if you want to quantify running Atlanta's hip-hop scene, to an individual, that would be Pastor Troy at that point. It was Troy, and then Lil Jon had it, and then T.I. had it, and then Jeezy had it, and then Gucci had it. Am I missing anything?
Say that again, Pastor Troy?
It was Troy, then Lil Jon had it, then T.I. had it, then Jeezy had it, then Gucci had it.
Yeah, and then Chains.
Yeah. I mean, we could go on and on. And then Future and all that. But yeah. And I don't feel like Luda had that moment that those guys had in the city.
After Chains is Future, yeah.
Couple songs here and there, but, you know, as far as like just taking over to that degree, it wasn't like that.
I was about to say, actually, right between Chains and Future, Rocco had it for a quick minute.
Rocco did. Rocco had a moment. No, I give you that.
I fuck with Rocco. I like Rocco. And Rocco is the one that gave us Future.
He is. What else did you get from the Benzino interview?
You want to know what, Mike? At this moment, I think I'm going to let you go, and you tell me what some of your thoughts are.
It's a lot.
I'm going to mute this microphone right quick and blow my nose and relax for a second while you go on your diatribe. Go ahead. Well, I have a couple more things I want to say, but I want to let you back in. I just want to bring up how Southern Playalistic was about to get 5 mics right after Illmatic and Ready to Die wasn't about to get 5 mics. All right.
Southern Playalistic should have gotten 5 mics, and I think Big Boy knows that. That's why he said what he said. And that's why even with Akumina, they forced Source's hand and made him, you know how I feel about that. It came out the same time as Volume 2. There was no way that you could give Volume 2 4.5 and Akumina 4.5.
I mean, Benzo just admitted to the times that he stepped in. He didn't step in when Ready to Die got rated later that year, 4.5.
Well, I appreciate his honesty. And as far as the Eminem thing.
Yeah, you go ahead right quick. Go
ahead. Where do I start, man? First things first, I think that, well, let me ask you this, Coop, before you go on mute. Does it matter if a ghostwriter wrote a diss record? Does a record not need to be responded to if a ghostwriter writes it, allegedly?
Maybe it doesn't need to be responded to if you feel like that you're one of those rare writers who has never had a ghostwriter or doesn't need one. But when a man openly challenges you to a 3-round mic battle and literally says, no, let's keep it non-violent and rap battle for 3 rounds. Oh, no.
I agree.
Listen. This is a competitive fervor sport. You have to take that challenge.
Yeah.
I don't we can put all the other stuff that he said to the side, Mike. He said to that man, I challenge you to a duel.
Yeah.
Now let's touch mics and fight.
I have a little bit of inside information that I don't want to disclose yet, but
now I'm muting you. Oh my God.
Yeah. But this is what I will say. I don't think that the whole investigation of trying to find a ghostwriter or trying to find out who wrote this, I don't even think that should have happened. I just think that there's a record out there on you or against you that you prompted because you said this man's name in another record. I just think you should respond as opposed to going through the whole investigative thing like, okay, well, who wrote this? Who did? I don't even think that should matter at this point. It's a disclosure.
I mean, not being funny, Mike. I mean, let's give it some context since we were talking about like the NBA. Rhyme-wise, for who Eminem is considered to be, in relationship to who Benzino is considered to be, this is like, I'm trying to think of somebody that's in Eminem's relative range as a player. This is like Doc Rivers challenging Tracy McGrady to a game of one-on-one basketball, saying like, "Oh, you want to hoop, nigga? Like, let's hoop." Yeah. Like Doc was a good player, but he was never like the all-star, like high-level player that McGrady was. And essentially what Benzino is saying is that, well, I don't think you ever checked anybody or really battled anybody. And so I'm down with the shit. What's up?
Well, this is the thing, and you're right. Benzino, we're not going to sit here and act like he's not important in hip hop culture. You just went through this whole diatribe about, his time at the source, whether good or bad. He's been a part of the historic moments in hip hop's height, which is the 90s. And we have all confirmed that on this show. So he knows great hip hop when he hears it. You know what I mean? And he knows hip hop music. And so when he's saying the things that he's saying about Eminem's music and wondering why people are giving this guy so much praise and not being as critical of him as they are others, I think those are valid assertions. Now, obviously, I think that's valid because I always stand on that. But I saw him on Drink Champs just sitting there like, yo, Nori, like, why y'all niggas like this guy like that? Do y'all really listen to him like that or whatever? And they wouldn't. He feels like he's on an island. He's saying some things on air that I'm sure people behind the scenes would agree with him on, but they can't agree with him on camera. And I'm sure that's frustrating. And I think that's why he had the breakdown. And then again, you know how Eminem stands are. They'll use anything to negate a battle, right? Oh, he's crying. He has mental issues or whatever. He don't need to be worried about Eminem. Oh, well, we found a writer over here, whatever. He doesn't need to respond to this. Stop the nonsense and stop making excuses for your hero. And like Benzino said, just respond to the record. You already didn't respond to the game. We saw this with the game. Okay, if the record's so garbage, just blow him out the water, right? You had no problem responding to Nick Cannon.
A couple things, just real quick. The homie Andrew just texted me. Shout out to Andrew and Mirror Music. Andrew just let me know that the baseball All-Star game doesn't do the home field thing anymore.
Oh, they don't? They should.
They should. I agree. Here's what I'll tell you, Mike. And this is just my psychological analysis of listening to Benzino. The city of Boston is probably the most racist town in this nation of all the major cities. And there are some undertones when you grow up in the streets and you've really been in the streets the way Benzino has coming out of Boston. And he kind of reminded and reiterated. I know he was like a little faded, but he kind of you can tell that it's part of the fabric of who he is. And the racism in Boston is seriously, seriously real, even to this day. And you can tell that part of the issue that he has with Eminem does have something to do with that Boston upbringing that he's been given. You know, like if you're not from the parts that he's talking about in Roxbury and Dorchester, the rest of it is like white all around. And quite frankly, I've been told this by many Bostonians who are black. These are the worst white people in America. Like in this country where we have a history of racism and slavery, like black people think that these white people are the worst. And there is a fabric of him that does not really care for white people because of the things that he's seen in Boston and some of the stuff that he was describing, like those two police officers shooting that brother under the car, like stuff like that and getting away with it. It's like, so the fabric of Boston is bad and hip hop is something that was created in black culture. And so there is probably something because Benzino's been part of this culture for a long time. Even if he hasn't operated on the highest level or become a big multi-platinum star, he has been part of the fabric of this culture. And it probably does bother him on a fundamental level that somebody like this is deified within this community coming from where he really comes from. And I'm not talking about where he comes from personally. I'm talking about where he comes from environmentally. And when he talks about like making it out of Boston, I mean, he's right. The only cats that really make it out of Boston is New Edition, because Guru had to leave Boston and go to Brooklyn to make it big, and Benzino never really made it big.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get out of that place if you're black.
Well, all right, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. We just talked about the Source magazine and it being like hip-hop's Bible of the 90s. His time
except for those Wu-Tang ratings.
Right.
Except for those Wu-Tang ratings suck.
But his time over there and all of the great albums that came through there, just as a music critic, right? Take the rapper Benzino out of it, the personality Benzino out of it. Tell Mark, hold on 1 second. We got Mark Curry on the line, guys. Shout out to Mark. And we're going to talk this Diddy stuff.
We can circle back around. We can circle back around to Benzino. I don't think
Oh
that's
yeah, we'll
going
circle
anywhere.
back around. Let's get Mark on. Let's see. We got Mark here. Let's add him on. Boom. Mark Curry's in the building. Welcome to A2HH Live, sir. How we doing?
Can't complain, can't complain. How y'all feel?
How are you, sir?
Can't complain. What's going on, Coupe de Ville?
What's going on, brother? It's been a long time.
It sure has, man. But you know,
How you feeling?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Everything has been good. Staying in my lane, just doing what I gotta do.
I've
Yeah.
uh I've I've spent a lot of time on this show over the years when the subject of all things bad boy coming up, and I've talked about how well I know things that maybe you don't know that I don't really care to share, but I have inside information. You
So
would
you
be
used
the
to work
inside
at the
information,
Justice.
huh?
You used to be at Justice.
That is correct.
You used to know
But
all of the complaints, everything. You used to know the people, the after parties.
well, it's funny. I remember that one night you grabbed me and was like, the after party we going to isn't the after party some of these other guys go to. You remember when you told me that?
The after party we going to ain't the party, the after party. Tell me how we would understand that one.
Um, so some of the allegations currently surrounding the guy who formerly had you signed to Bad Boy,
Mm-hmm.
you wasn't really a fan of those parties, but
Mm.
you and me, we used to go to different spots.
Yeah, the other part. Yeah. The different spots. That's
Yeah.
when we used to leave the Justins, and then we'd be like, "Yo, we going to the clubs in Buckhead."
Right. But they'd be
Yeah,
going to
the
people's
other club.
houses where you have to like drop your phone and
The other clubs. Yeah, it ain't them kind of parties.
so
Mhm.
often when I talk about you, it seems like some of the things you used to share with me, some of the fabric of those things is starting to come to light. I wanted to talk to you, and you put it in a book. I still have your book. I keep your book that you signed for me, like with me on my bookshelf.
Right. That's great, man. It's good to know that I'm still living. Like shelf life is important.
Well, here's the thing about prophets. Oftentimes when you're a prophet, people don't really believe what you're saying when you're saying it. Like when I talk about you, I actually reference you kind of similar to like Ezekiel in the Bible. When Ezekiel was running around town telling people about the prophecies and the things that he was seeing, nobody believed him. And then years later, stuff started happening and he became, a deified figure. And I look at some of the stuff that's in this book that's almost 15 years old now, and some of this stuff is coming to light.
Hmm. Man, to hear that from you, Coop, man, that means so much. I mean, that's like a ultimate goal to reach in life when someone can share those kind of good words about you. But did you see the what was it? The Book of Clarence?
Yeah.
And when I saw the Book of Clarence, I'm like, okay, um, the first gospel in the Bible was Mark.
Yes.
And Mark wrote about the things that he had a knowledgeable understanding of the characters and the events. Even though he wasn't there, he had the most kind of like background knowledge to able to put the story together to tell you. That's how Mark's story came about. Then you got Matthew's, then you got Luke, and you got John. And when I look at Mark and I understand, like I'm like, why is my name Mark? And then I look at what Mark meant in the Bible, and I look at me and I be like, wow, he wrote a book, I wrote one too. But I never knew that I
Yeah.
was being marked, that I was being.
Mm.
And
No, it's definitely some prophecy going on. Mike, did you have a couple questions for Curry?
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess just on a broad spectrum. Excuse me. What are your thoughts with just these continuous, allegations coming out, against Diddy. I mean, a lot of people feel like maybe some of this stuff is conjecture. Some people are clout chasing, and I mean, people don't know what to think. Things are coming out so fast. Like, as a person that's been around, like, what were some of your thoughts when these things keep coming about in the news cycle?
To me, it'd be like Coop could tell you, Justin's when Justin's were closed. It's the people who was belligerent. Whitney Houston may have been in there. We couldn't get her home until whenever. You have people, you'd be like, wow, we got people on our hands. So like when you look at places, you say, we kind of like responsible for everyone's well-being. So when people leave a establishment drunk, sometimes if something happens to them, they also look at where did the person come from, and then why did y'all let this person leave in this condition. So you always had these parties, people were left, and you'd be like, wow, they crazy. Like people who just they overindulge in things and whatever. But you say, okay, that's them. But still, every time I looked in it, if I ever saw Whitney, I always would see Whitney, and then she had Bobby. So you'd be like, no matter what she's doing, she's still going home to Bobby.
Right.
And sometimes you look at people, you be like, no matter what so and so's out there doing, he's still going home to where he got to go home to. And that's sometimes like what's the most important part. No matter what, it's just about making sure you responsible to. I don't know, man. It's a lot of things that's going on. What's going on there with all of these allegations? I feel like half of them may have some truth, some of them may not. I feel like this last one that they pulling out on Puff, I feel like, they might be trying to do the overplay for the underplay. That means like let's overexpose him, and let's put him in a situation that we can totally pick apart and find not credible. So then that every allegation that's against him, now people can look at him and say, maybe all of these allegations are credible because we were able to pick apart one that people expected to hear about. A guy that comes forward to say that Puffy touched him. He said, if I'm not mistaken, he said he touched him in the genitals and the anus. And
I think that's what the document said.
yeah, but you got to ask yourself, how does a person touch you in the anus? It doesn't make sense. It sounds like something that did, like it sounds like something that just, how they say that AI generated stuff that just goes on and it gathers all of the information, and then it comes with a great story to tell you about this, whatever.
Right.
For a guy named who produced with Puff on his last Love album, do we have any credits on the album with his name on it?
Right.
Did anybody look into that?
I didn't see him on there, but yeah, I mean, I think those are very valid questions.
He didn't have no credits on the album, so that means you have one that says he was a producer. Is if you look at what the Limelight is saying, the tabloids, old school like me, or was trending, the new school, it says that he was a producer from the Love album, and if you look on the credits, if you see any songs produced or arranged or anything by him, we may have some valid points. But if you don't see it, then that means that this person could just be someone I never for someone to say, hold on one second, chill out. All right, for someone to say, about Mark Curry, he said that whatever, and they're using my name in a case, and they're using Gene Deal's name in a case, and it's almost like if Puffy broke into your car and stole your radio. What you want to talk to the people about when you go to file your complaint or file your police report is that you saw Puffy break into your car and steal your radio.
Right.
You don't have to bring up everything else. So
No
it just seems
facts.
lot of things is just coming up that don't make sense. Like my name is brought up in their case. For what?
Well, how do you think this is going to affect Diddy's legacy moving forward? I mean, because we know him as the guy who's the mogul who married hip hop and R&B successfully, right? Took that uptown model and took it to the next level. How do you think that all of these things that have been happening over the past year are going to affect his overall legacy in hip hop?
Okay. I can answer that question like this. I want everything that Diddy wants to do for and to accomplish in his life. I want him to be able to make those things happen for him. Me myself personally, I'm at a comfortable point in life where I'm comfortable. Just, it doesn't really matter to me, you know. And as long as people are learning, and as long as the world is moving, I'm comfortable with that. So I don't really like base anything, that I do in my days and what I do in the daytime and how I support myself for a living. I don't depend on him to sell no books or anything in order to do what I have to do. So I learned that it just comes, it's a part of life. Um, let's go back to your question, because your question made me drift off into another lane, and I'm sorry for that. They're calling that
All
they
good.
call that falling off the soapbox.
No, it's all good. But yeah, I was just want to know how you think that's going to affect Diddy's legacy, moving forward. How all of this is going to affect his musical.
Oh, okay. I know what I wanted to tell you now. I don't really think. I think that if it's some false allegations out there and we're accusing them of some things that may not be true, I think that we got to really sit back and really chill out as a people and let him deal with the system that's in place that has to deal with these type of energies, whether it be him and God, whether it be him and a judicial system, wherever it be. But we can't add fuel to that fire. Even though I wrote a book, and my book was called Dancing with the Devil: How Puff Burnt the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. I wrote my book about dealing with him in that time during being in music and the things I saw. And that was just my perspective of what I thought about him. So now when I look and I say, okay, just as long as if he's guilty of whatever it is that people are saying that the accusations or people are accusing him of things that he's done, then let him stand accountable for that. But until we know that he's definitely been that person, then I feel we should let him have a fair chance as a father, because sometimes we got to think and say, no matter what, no, even though he's Puff Daddy, he still has children,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't really like ruin his image in their eyes just because of things that we think. Like, I'm sure to wake up and for your children to say, "Hey, Dad, they're saying that you're a homo on in the tabloids," and you like, and then you have to explain that to them. And I'm sure it's hard to explain, but you say, you know what? To your kids, you say, we have a strong enough bond to where no matter what the world accuses me of, you know me and I know you. So as long as we know each other, then no matter what nobody says about me, then you would know not to believe it if it wasn't true
Right.
about our relationship. So I
Do,
hope that he has strong relationships right now with his loved ones. All of these things that are going on, man, I hate to see them going on, but if, if there's truth in it, it's Judgment Day.
well, let me ask you this. Just based on some of the details that you've shared with me over the years about credit that you did not receive for your work and credit other artists did not receive for their work, and some of the things that I know that you just believe about how the universe works. Do you feel like this is some of the things that he did earlier on in his career coming back to bite him in a karmic sense, not in like necessarily a reality sense, but you and I have had a lot of conversations about things that, you know, he's done to people musically in terms of taking advantage of them and not giving out appropriate credit and not financially, like, you know, subsidizing people properly. Do you think that this is just one of those what goes around comes around type of things? And I have two parts to this question. The second part would be, do you think that there's being uh, a point being made by not acknowledging some of the positive things that he's done?
Okay, let's go to the first part. The first part is I've always been me. I've been the same positive individual. And if we can go back to you had a response. Tell me, go back to the beginning of your response, and I'm gonna take off from part one. Then we're gonna go into part two.
I was asking, do you feel like that some of this is just like karma and what goes around comes around for some of the things that he's done, you know, when he was younger, when it came to handling some of his artists like you?
You can say to me, I say, yo, I wrote a book about it. And I wrote a book about it, and a lot of people didn't go buy the book. Not saying
Right.
that I wanted them to go buy the book, or I said go buy the book, or I made them go buy the book. But I'm like, if y'all really wanted to support the cause and the movement, then you will understand what I've been saying. And I've been saying this for 10 years, 12 years, 15, 20 years. So to finally hear people starting to voice their opinion on this kind of subject, it hurts me more. Because I'd be like, if you would have helped me when I was trying to do it, I could be in a much better position right now. A standpoint where, you know, we can have a much bigger platform to speak our truth off. But because you did not believe in me, you did not support me, you did not speak my name, even though you know me very well. You just were afraid to mention me because you thought that it was going to be embarrassing to the world to say that you were affiliated with me. That made me feel bad with a lot of individuals who are very boisterous today. So
Okay.
it what I already knew then, to see people just now saying like, they want to start talking about stories about Puffy and how Puffy did me. You know, how when I had this going on, Puffy did me. You'd be like, wow, man. But why, when I wrote this book, if you didn't read the book and then understand how the man does with business, if you would have read my book, knew that I was your friend, maybe acknowledged that and called me and said, hey, I want to ask you a few questions before I get into a business deal with this individual, and we could have talked about it. I could have talked to you and saved you a whole bunch of disappointment. But you thought that you had what it took to make it happen. So a lot of people that's
Yeah.
like that. Just because the girl don't like you, and then you be like, yo, the girl, she ain't doing nothing, she ain't cutting. And then your friend be like, well, maybe she just don't like you, let me try. Then he go try, then he be like, yeah, you right. And then after that, y'all realize, man, we just made ourselves look silly trying to battle over something that we already knew was real. As
Right.
men.
And so I guess, like, for me, from knowing you and being kind of like knowing the situation when you were coming up out of the situation, I think I think you kind of wrote the book as a cautionary tale to kind of warn people, definitely business wise, about how the practices were being handled for artists. And it kind of left you like a man alone on an island in a sense.
It's a modern day Bible.
Well,
When I
that's why
look
I
at it,
reference
yeah.
Well, not to cut you off,
The
that's why I
modern day Bible.
reference you and Ezekiel, because when Ezekiel was going around telling people the prophecy of things to come, people literally called him crazy and they separated themselves from him.
It's modern day Bible. You're right. But, you know, sometimes you just got to do it. And then when you're working for, all right, now that you say that, I can say something to you, is when you say, okay, I'm connected to another kind of energy to where my victories and my wins, my hurt, my pains, all of those go into one of the same direction. And no matter what, once I channel it in, I'm still going to be okay. So I don't win when people think that winning is the best thing to accomplish. And I don't lose when people think that that's the worst thing that could ever happen to you in life. What I do is I know that I'm playing. And I know that I'm playing because I'm here, because it's a reason why I'm here, is because I'm good at what I do. And there couldn't be nobody else better than me in order to be here doing it. So every time we look at ourselves, we say, no matter what we're doing, there's nobody better to be doing it than you. So I look at and I say, my victory didn't have to come with Puff and having the most successful music career ever, or be a DMX or a Method Man or some of those other great idols out there. Sometimes the greatest idol is the one that suffered, because there's more people that are suffering that need to understand things to hold on to in order to thrive and reach forward, that they look up to people who suffer more than they look up to people that you idol. So as long as you see people suffering, that means that you know that you still have a chance. When you see everybody winning and nothing seems to be winning, you become you become like you alienate yourself. So the greatest
Do you
people in life are sufferers.
For the people
do
that
you
are
think?
just tuning in, we got Mark Curry here on the line. My bad, cool.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
Curry.
ask real quick, for the people who, might not be familiar with, you being on Bad Boy, formerly on Bad Boy Entertainment. Can you tell people like how you connected with Bad Boy and how long you were there?
I Now this is always going to be interesting, and I hope people can understand it. I never wrote a song, or I never put a demo tape together and said, please listen to my demo. I
Mm.
never did that. The only thing I did was focus on being good at what it is that I wanted to do in life. And the people that needed to notice me noticed me while I was doing what I was doing. And one of those individuals that happened to notice me was Puff. And he said that I want to sign you to my label. I didn't say I want to be on your label. He said I want to sign you to my label. Because like, I guess the saying would always be, when I would think, I would say, hey, I'm the prize in the Cracker Jack box. And sometimes there's nothing wrong to feel like that about yourself. I'm the prize that's in that loaf of bread that they used to. I'm the what you get in the bottom of that cereal box, the prize. So when you feel like that about yourself, how did he? It's not about how did I land that. It's about how did he land being so close to me, who happens to be so close to God. How does he keep up ending up being so close to the anointed individuals that are blessed with the ability and talent, the words, the wisdom? How is he so blessed to be upon the anointed and cross all of them?
Mm.
Oh, so let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
God rest his soul. I know you and Black Rob were pretty tight.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think things like, like for the people that are in Puffy's camp, why are they not highlighting things like the fact that he paid for Rob's funeral? Like, why is all the good things that he's done kind of like being swept under the rug at this point in time? Do you feel like there is actual agenda against him?
I don't know, but maybe the world doesn't know that when he asked me, Mark, what could I do? And I told him pay for the funeral. So at the same time, the only reason why he paid for the funeral is because I told him to do it. Even though the
Okay.
world thought that me and him was at a point to where we wasn't speaking, we still was able to come together and say, what do we need to do right now as men? And as men, we needed to make sure we buried the brother. And that's what he did. So I was able to really be like, for him to be able to, for us to be able to set aside our differences and still come together to do the right thing, that was worth not talking about. That's not something that I would go around and keep talking about because when that happened to me, that was like a moment that, a prayer was answered. And that means, some things were answered and, maybe God did come down and bless us and put a hand upon us. But it's not for us to tell people because when you tell people about it and then it don't never happen for them, then that's how you really create haters in life. When things is happening for you and things ain't happening for other people. So, all right, come on, let's go. I hope I answered these questions right. And if I
Yeah.
don't answer them right, y'all just let me know. I can double back and answer them again in a more roundabout way.
No, you're good. Before you go, I just want you to kind of share some of your endeavors over the years that you've been involved in. Like, I know we have, your family, some of your family is some of my family now over the course of years. And it's like, I've always been hearing through the grapevine for years about some of the endeavors that you've been involved in. And so I just want to talk real quick before you go about the space that you in and some of the projects and stuff that you've been working on that aren't music related. Real quick before you go any further, when Keith and I
I don't.
talk about you, we always say that we feel like you should have been a comedian because you're like, people are listening to you talk right now and they don't know that, most of the times all of us was in a room together. You were by far the funniest person in the room.
Definitely. But when you think about when you think of this one, this is a good one, and the best way that you can explain this to people. Once you are anointed, and once you are blessed to do many things in life. You can be a comedian, you can be an actor, you can be a singer, you can be Jamie Foxx, basically.
Mm.
You don't just get blessed with the ability to look at Prince. Even though he was anointed with the ability to sing the songs and come up with the great creations of musics and things that he came up with, he still was able to play basketball as well. You know, so it's about being blessed. When you bless, I think it's kind of like it's not fair to be like, "Hey God," or however that higher power we speak, like, "Bless me with the ability to be a entertainer," and then when you don't get that opportunity, you be like, now you upset. Why? Because I wasn't made an entertainer and I asked, and you be like, you may not was made an entertainer, but you was still made a good father, you was still made a good brother. Like, are you going to say that just because you're not an entertainer that it doesn't mean as much as being the father that you are? Like, I think your kids like you more than they like entertainers. But sometimes we don't never really get into that kind of thinking. If
Mm.
that, I'm just touching on another. We going into the ninth sense. It's the
It
ninth sense.
sounds it sounds like you're in a good place, Curry, and that you've made peace with a lot of things.
I sure have. You want to know where I made peace with how I found peace? Cool. You knew I used to be out on the track every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you finally just realize life, and then you realize that people do love you in life, no matter what. No matter how many people let you down in life, some people still believe in you and they do love you. So don't spend too much time worried about the people who don't believe in you and the people who don't love in you, but you spend more time focus on those that do. And I done that. And when I done that, I was like, yo, I don't go to the club no more. I don't go out. I grew old with my age. Like I'm 52 now. I'm 52, and I live like a 52-year-old man. You know what I mean? I'm not going to the club. I don't want nothing that's not of my understanding. I'd rather sit and argue with my girl and be upset than to be somewhere on the beach. You know what I'm saying? Some people be like, yo, I'd rather be on the beach. I'd be like, I'd rather be arguing with her.
No, I dig it.
Well said.
So look, yeah, we're gonna let you go, but you and me, we're gonna connect on a
You know
personal
what?
basis
I
soon. I
got
want
some more minutes. I know I had said that, but I didn't know that when we started talking, it was just going to be one of these free. It was a free spirited conversation what we have right here. So it's kind of not like something that I just didn't want to beat a dead horse about Puff, and
no,
everybody asking about Puff and I'm like, yo, I wrote a book about him. If you really want to know anything that I got to say about Puff, go buy the book. So if anybody asks me anything that didn't buy the book, I say, for starters, buy the book.
Right. That's the starter kit right there.
Starters, buy
right.
the book. You don't
You
have
were
that.
ahead of the curve. You were talking about this stuff when nobody else was. Like literally nobody else was. Everybody
Yeah.
was afraid to say something except for you.
And I spoke, as I always say, even when I'm at home. And sometimes I go through this with my girl, yo. I don't know if y'all. I'll be like, yo, I do not know how to bite my tongue. I'll be like, if I feel something, I'm finna let you know. You finna know. That's how I felt about him. I was like, man, you gonna know. No matter how much money you got, no matter how high you sleep in the building, you gonna know. You gonna know who I am. You gonna know about me. And ain't nothing. Just keep on doing what I do. And to this day, he knows who I am. He knows this. He knows me so well. He's afraid to even mention my name. He's afraid to even pull me on stage to say that I was once a part of his success or anything. He doesn't. He doesn't even want to acknowledge me. Things like that. But guess what? That's the reason why he's in the situation he's in today. You do not do that to the anointed ones. Let's go, y'all. Yo, do you know what it feels like to be anointed?
Actually, I do.
Right.
Actually, I
Yep.
do. I,
Yep.
I think that's where we've always been connected. One of my favorite moments, like in life, was actually taking you to my car in Atlantic Station to listen to my music, and I can remember the way you started nodding your head. You was like, "Yo, Coop, I'll take you in to any label right now and play this shit." And you made me believe in myself on a level because I know you did it on the highest level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like,
it was a time where it was that kind of stuff, and it was that kind of business.
Mm.
But the business, the business went. This is where the business went bad. To be honest with you, let me tell y'all where the business went bad, so we can understand where music went wrong. Music went wrong when we have the baby boom, we have Generation X, we have Generation Y, and we have Generation Z. That's almost like 70 years worth of life, right? The
right.
same individuals who were in control 70 years ago are still in control today.
Mm.
And it's not creating opportunity or advancement for anyone who indulges in the lifestyle. So, in order for music to change, we have to change the people who are in control or in the position to say how it's conducted. So
So let me
that's
ask you this. Because I can remember when I was around you and the music started changing, you didn't agree with the change. And now the change is like fully occurred. What do you think of today's rap climate? Like, are you a J. Cole? Like I was kicking it with you before J. Cole, Kendrick, and Drake existed. Like, what do you think of those three guys specifically? And what do you think about today's rap climate? Do you even listen to rap?
I do, but I always be like, I like Kendrick Lamar, but I always be like, yo, if Kendrick Lamar was really a fan of this, he would have called me. I ain't never got a call from him. I was like, yo, if J. Cole was really a fan of hip hop, he would have called me. I never got a call from him. So I look at all of the greats, and I look at, sometimes they be like, people come up with these things to help the pioneers of raps and things like that. And I don't consider myself a pioneer of rap, but I consider myself as a soldier. That means I fought for the right for us to do it. I was told no just so you can get told yes. Like I went to war with the beast just so you didn't have to be afraid. But some people who don't have to go through that, they don't never remember those kind of things that people work hard for. It's like, so a lot of people don't know what I worked hard for. And even in music, or they don't know it. To me, I think I really worked hard because I had to suffer for a lot of things that I wanted to accomplish, but I had to be strong in my suffering and realize that, you know what, man, it's nothing wrong with suffering. It's nothing wrong with not winning. It's nothing wrong with not having. You know, as long as you realize who you are and you know that you have you, then there's nothing that you're losing. So one day you'll realize and you'll think that the world is down on you and suffering, and you'll be like, wow, I'm not really suffering because I still have a chance. And that's something that I realized, that a lot of people ain't gonna realize that in this lifetime. They can die and never realize, you know, that everything, you know, is gonna be okay. Even, you know, it's just a whole nother walk. It's another walk. It's another goal that people reach for. Other than, I don't want to have a Ferrari, and I don't want to have a big mansion on the hill. I just want to be able to talk to, you know, just to be able, you know, to say, hey man, you know, sometimes when you have too much, people can't see you eye to eye, and you be like, I miss having real conversations with people because I have too much. I can't talk to people about what $10 can do for you. You know, somebody can ask you if you got $1 billion, and you don't even know how to give somebody $10 no more.
So Curry, I say this about Jay all the time. His money talk has gotten so big that now cats can't relate to the money talk because the money's too big.
It's too, yeah. We're not doing $2,000 for a shot of billionaire or all of those drinks. You know, we look at it, top life. But when you look at things like that, you say, hey, Jay, when are you going to realize that no matter how much money you have, you only have as much money as we supported you? So don't never throw that back in our face. If you got that much money, can you imagine how much money we got? Or you say, Jay-Z, if you really think you got a lot of money, do you know how much money the United States spends a year on just road work? They spend like $3 trillion a year just on fixing roads. Who wins all of the bids to do all of the contract work when they say we got $3 trillion to spend in fixing bad potholes and things in the road? Who do you think gets that money? Not
Not
Jay-Z,
us.
not
Yeah, not
us.
us.
Who you think get it?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they bid on it. And so sometimes when we think about money, and you be like, even though Jay-Z he might be a billionaire, but I think that now everybody's going to be a billionaire. Like everybody, it's amazing. Cool. Everybody who was born they're destined to be a millionaire. Because in this life, it's proven that if you work from the time you can work all the way to the time you can't work, you're going to make at least $2-3 million. Everybody's going to be a millionaire. Then everybody wanted to be a billionaire. Now they want to be a billionaire. So then now they got this new thing saying that people who are on their way to being trillionaires.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you stopping by, Mark, man. Shedding some light on some things. You gotta come back by.
Yeah, we'll do. Do y'all think maybe y'all can cash at me?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with y'all, man. Just messing with
What's
y'all,
the
man.
cash app?
Nah, man, I'm just messing with
Nah,
y'all.
I got Curry. Me and Curry he's about to pull up on me. We about to chop it
Okay.
up because the last time I even got wind of you, I thought you was down in Florida opening up some of the stuff with WAP. You know what I'm saying? That's the last time I got wind of where you were.
Yeah, I was down there doing that. That's when I went opened up the juice bars. I did so much in life, man. I do contract work now. Now I just be working on houses and things like that. I could paint a room. I could go paint a house, and it feels like I just dropped a new single.
Shout out to Beyond Above Media. He said he just bought your book. So
Yo, thank you, Beyond Above Media. Thank you for the support. Hey, yo, y'all also, if y'all can, let's encourage people to go grab that book, because they'll sit here and want to listen to everything we talk about on the tabloids. Once again, when you say tabloids, you old school, but we're gonna call it the young school. We're gonna call it streaming. When you're streaming, they don't really support when you're streaming. People just don't.
yeah.
It's like, oh, they just like to just get the best, the juicy information out of it. And once they got it, they'll turn their back and leave you sitting right there. And you be like, that's all you wanted was to hear that? Like, where's your real support? Like, who are you really? People got to really get more in touch to life. You'd be like, man, it's almost like you go into a gas station and you see a lady saying that she hungry, and do you help her get something to eat?
Yeah.
People are helping nobody eat. They like, nobody's eating. But
Yeah,
anyhow,
I mean,
brothers,
just shout out to you. You 15 years ahead of the curve, fam. I mean, I remember when you dropped this book in 2009 and we did a party for it, and now we're here.
Yes, sir.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thank y'all for having me today.
Thanks for coming by. Come by anytime.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun, Coop.
Good, man. I'm glad. I've been trying to get you on here forever. We're going to chop it up soon.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Salute.
It's good to see you, brother.
Yep. Salute, y'all. Thanks, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Anytime. Thank you, Curry.
Yep.
Yo, that was cool, man. Shout out to Curry. I wish my voice wasn't fucked up, man. I was trying to fight through it. You know what I mean?
It's funny. It's been a minute since I talked to Curry, and we talk. I probably haven't talked to him about 7 years. We've touched base. We got mutual family, but I forgot that it's when you're talking to Curry, it's like you're going to talk about everything.
Right. Nah, that was
everything.
That was cool. It was free flowing and all of that. I do want to talk about, I guess, our opinion on what this does to Diddy's legacy, because this kind of has undertones of Russell Simmons, R. Kelly, Africa Bambaataa, and I think that other than R. Kelly, if we're talking about Russell and Bambaataa, I think this is being publicized way more than Russell and Bambaataa. And even solid hip-hop celebrations. Bambaataa's excluded. Russell's excluded totally. And I don't know if this is possibly going to write Diddy out of history. And that is a big piece written out of history. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have the Tupac Biggie conversation without involving Puff. You can't have, like, the Mary J. Blige conversation without Puff.
It's Mike just, or Jodeci. Or Jodeci.
No, it's a lot.
He directed Outkast's first video. He directed Players Ball.
He's everywhere.
He's part of the East Coast resurgence.
Yeah. Biggie, Bad Boy is everywhere. Like, so Bad Boy is, you know what? This kind of looks like, but see, even with Death Row, even if you want to remove Suge Knight from the equation, which I feel like they've done, Dr. Dre gets all that credit, right? And then you got Dre, Snoop, Pac there. But you can't really remove Puff from the Bad Boy equation and have Bad Boy.
Well, I think here's the thing is that he made it a point to make sure that he was the centerpiece of the equation.
Yeah.
And when you make that point, you leave yourself open and exposed. And really what happens is that when you become the centerpiece and you leave yourself open and exposed, people wait for you to get older. They wait for you to get weaker so that they can take you down. You know, I actually like the fact that Curry was more reflective and accepting of some of the things, and he's taking more of a Zen approach to all the stuff that's going on with Puff. Now notice that he said he pretty much was telling us, he's like, no, the truth's somewhere in the middle, though.
Right.
He's just not going to be the one to come and slander.
Right.
You see, the guy that I met 15 years ago was like, man, you can't trust this nigga.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? And so it's funny how age affects both sides of the story. It's like Curry is one of those artists that he took advantage of, like, definitely. You know what I'm saying?
In what way?
Curry,
as far as writing credits or
writing credits, financially, exposure wise. You know, like a mutual friend of me and Curry's even told me once that it's like, well, he treated Rob differently than he treated everybody else that was in the camp around that time. And a lot of that is because for Puff, he felt like Rob kept Bad Boy alive.
With Woe.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Woe. And so because of Woe in particular, and I think just because Life Story is the best Bad Boy album to come out post Biggie. Like, Life Story is way better than the Locks album that came out on Bad Boy. Like, way better.
You think it's better than Harlem World?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It may not have the hits outside of Woe, but from beginning to end, oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Like, not even a question. You know, like our homie, me and Wop's homie, Keith, my brother Keith, you've met Keith before. They used to be Black Rob's driver back in the day. And I mean, you know, Rob put Bad Boy on his back, and I think Puff was thankful for that. But the love wasn't spread around equally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, well, you don't have to treat everybody the way that you treat Rob. You just got to treat people the way they deserve to be treated. And that's why I brought up the karmic part of it that I feel like is going on from what I know and from what I've been told and from what's inside this book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that it's there is some what goes around comes around to it. And I think Curry, like, you know, the best way that he described it, the truth is somewhere in the middle with what's going on with Puff. It's like, is all this stuff true? Well, probably not. Is enough of it true that it's very problematic? Oh, hell yeah.
Well, you know, all you need is allegations nowadays. Like, it doesn't have to.
That's what I mean when I'm saying people wait. Like, people wait for the time to change. Yeah. Like, let's not get it twisted. Bad Boy ain't been on top in a super long time, Mike. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
people will wait for you to get.
Puff is more relevant as an individual than Bad Boy is as an entity.
Right. But people will literally wait for you to get old and gray before they strike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't think we've seen, outside of Russell Simmons, seen somebody with such a big impact just get erased. But I mean, they did that with Russell. Russell wasn't involved in any of the hip hop 50 stuff. I didn't see any. How can you tell the story of hip hop without telling the Def Jam story with Rick Rubin and Russell Simmons? They did that.
Okay. I mean, okay, see, but here's the thing. It's like, if you really know the story, though, Mike, I mean, Russ was a notorious womanizer when he was breaking Run DMC out. Like, before Run DMC was even a thing, Russ was, you know what I'm saying, like, had a reputation.
But Russ was Curtis Blow's manager, right? Yeah.
Right.
And Curtis Blow signed the first major record deal to Mercury for any rapper. He's the first rapper ever signed to a major deal. So Russell has something to do with that. Russell, Run DMC, Def Jam. And even with all of that impact, really, he should have been the ambassador for this Hip Hop 50 thing, if we're being completely honest. He should have been the guy that people paraded around, but they didn't speak anything, and that's because of the allegations. And if they're able to do something like that to him, I feel like they can do that to Puff too. Unfortunately.
Well, they just did, and that's what they're doing. But also, too, Mike, do you know how old Russell Simmons was when he met Kimora Lee Simmons or Kimora Lee at the time?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
it don't look good, Mike. It don't look good.
It doesn't.
So you are gonna. So this is what I mean about the karma part of it. Well, you are gonna reap what you sow.
Yeah,
you're not gonna be able to run from it in the long run. And really, what really happens with some of our black moguls, especially in hip hop, they think that they're untouchable. And really, the whole time that they think that they're untouchable, there's a group of people keeping checks and balances of the whole thing, and they're just waiting.
Yep. And that's what happened.
And is it right? Is it right? Not necessarily, but is the behavior okay? Well, no.
Well, I think there's a thing that goes on where people feel invincible, right? And they get away with a lot of things throughout their career, throughout their life. And it's like, okay, that's going to happen to that person, but not me. You remember when Michael Vick was just doing whatever? He got on an air train flight with weed. They let him get away with that. And even when the dogfight and allegations came out, he pled not guilty. Because at that time, he was getting away with everything. And then, like you said, they pulled the hammer out.
The Michael Vick thing is a little bit more touchy subject to me because, and I'm not being funny when I say this at all, and I say this as a dog lover and been a dog lover my whole life. Dogs are not human beings, and you can't place the value of a dog above a human being or a woman. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, what this Anglo-Saxon system did to Michael Vick was place the morality of dogs above the morality of people. And that's not to say Michael Vick wasn't wrong, but the way that it was handled by the white community at large, as if he had done this to people, when white people have been committing atrocities against us literally for centuries, and it still goes on to this day on a lot of levels. See, George Floyd is utterly ridiculous to me that man spent 19 months in jail for dog fighting. Police. There are police officers that have murdered us, Mike, that have not spent that time in jail.
Sure. It's true. I was speaking more towards the ability to just get away with things over a course of time, and I think that that's what kind of happens when someone's in a Diddy type position, and it just builds up. Like you said, they just wait. They wait, and then it's like, okay, well, we got a whole catalog now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well,
and that's when they come and get you.
I don't know. I mean, we're just gonna have to see how this whole thing unfolds. I mean, the latest news is, they're pulling other people into the allegations. I think one of the documents, one of Diddy's sexual partners was a Philadelphia rapper that was in a relationship with Nicki Minaj, and I think it also said an R&B singer who performed at the Super Bowl and had a successful Las Vegas residency. It's just going all over the place, man. And
I mean, Puff produced Usher's first album when Usher was like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, L.A. Reid sent Usher to go live with Diddy in that time period to make that first album.
And there have been rumors surrounding L.A. Reid and Puff since that time too, Mike.
It's a rabbit hole, for lack of a better term.
Huh.
I
don't even want to use the word hole when talking about this stuff. Pause.
We were talking about the Benzino interview. Stuff. Yeah. We were talking about the Benzino interview. And yeah, man, I just think that no rapper is above responding to a rap record, especially when you called out that person's name first. Like, If I called you out on a record and then you come with 2 diss records, I don't think I need to be out here trying to investigate who I think may have written whatever for you. I just need to respond because that's just what it is. I feel
Can you hear
like,
me?
yeah, I hear you. I feel like Eminem's fan base, they try to allow him ways out of jumping into battles that he may not win. We saw that with
I'll tell you. Yeah. We've seen that countless times.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Remember when I told you it's like, well, he spoke about this man's daughter. And really, if you listen to the interview, his whiteness in this hip hop space and the fact that he brought his daughter into it are the things that are triggering this man.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If somebody were to speak about what, Haley J, right?
Yeah.
The way that he talked about Coi Leray. Oh, he be coming outside, Mike. He be coming outside.
As he should. As any father would.
Right. And so here's the thing. Part of me thinks the response hasn't happened because you know you're wrong.
Well, you know what?
Because
no.
There aren't any.
Not to cut you off. And I've always said this. When Nick Cannon jumped on the mic, it's like this man was defending his wife. And people sitting here acting like he wasn't supposed to do that because this is Eminem. Like, what man is going to sit there and let a rapper diss his wife on record and do nothing about it?
I do think, Mike, that the strongest point that he might have made might have been the point where he literally said, you know, white people was fucking with this culture the same way they kind of fuck with a basketball player, like they really don't care for us. But because of how we rap, because of how we dunk a basketball, they bought in, and Eminem being around took that away from the culture. It's like instead of liking hip hop, they just get to like him, which works for their biases and stereotypes and racism.
Sure. Jadarian with the super chat says, this rap so we can't act as if we having ghostwriters doesn't change things. It depends on who it is. Zeno isn't known as a writer. M is supposed to be a half. 007 with the super chat says, Eminem makes those racial slur songs escaped me. I was shocked. You mean to tell me he changed? Why? Because he begun to profit off of us? I was shocked. Jadarian also says, rap god.
Were you?
Rap god in this case, so what Zeno has writers shouldn't matter. 2 Eminems, rap god, 2/2. I mean,
he was doing 2 parts of super chats. That's what he meant. This is chat 1 of 2 and then super chat 2 of 2.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, man, like at the end of the day, trying to do a whole full-out investigation on who wrote for Benzino, I think is, again, another cop-out. It's another time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Mike, I think we do need to discuss the racial component of it from this perspective. Like we can leave all the street stuff out of it because it's like if you know Benzino's history and you know like the crew that he ran with and the crew that he came up under and you know like any of your street stuff, it's like, oh no, he's official as it gets. Like Benzino and his crew bring the blickies to your crib. You know what I'm saying?
It's the double standard I think that he has a problem with.
Well, no, I think sincerely as somebody who comes from Boston, this is what I mean about the psychological ramifications. He truly does feel like, well, he enables the white populace to invest into rap and have an opinion by just listening to this white guy instead of really investing into rap.
I got
the culture.
I got you. So you're saying that he brings in a fan base that only listens to him, but now they think they have a voice in the whole culture of things.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
I think that's valid.
And if that's accurate, I'm about to say, and if that's accurate, and if that's valid, then then a lot of the points that you've been making are more valid than even I've been giving you credit for, because I didn't quite look at it through that lens specifically.
It's like, Beyonce's making country music now, which I think is great. Well, it's like the only country music that I listen to is Beyonce's, and then I go in there thinking that I got a real voice with some real country music heads. Like, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
What, you don't like Beyonce doing country music?
I'm gonna need her to make a couple more classic R&B albums before she does country, but that's another conversation for another day.
Well, this is my thing. Like, at first I didn't love it, but then I thought about it. I'm like, well, shoot, Justin Timberlake can jump in and out of R&B. Why can't Beyonce go make a country album? You know what I mean? Like, Justin Bieber can go jump in and out of R&B. And Miley Cyrus can too. She can go make country. She could jump and make a song with Mike Will made, and we support that. So why can't Beyonce do that?
I mean, quite frankly, because in this inner city music community, we are searching for attention and approval still from our white counterparts on various levels. Like Timberland worked with Justin Timberlake because it's like Timberland want to go diamond.
Exactly.
And as much as we love Aaliyah and Genuine not about to go diamond.
No, they're not going to.
Justin Timberlake has a chance to go diamond.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so there is that part of like, of wanting the notoriety of the space. It's why Pharrell fucked with didn't Neptunes produce what's the Gwen Stefani song?
Holla Back Girl.
Holla Back Girl. This shit is been like,
everybody was on that album. That album had Dallas Austin, but he's different. That's nothing new for him. That
Dallas
album
is different.
Dre on it. Yeah, that album had Dre on it. Had the Neptunes on it. Andre 3000 produced 2 songs on there. I'm missing somebody, but it was another.
Like, I'll tell you about. How about this?
Akon was on her second album.
Like for me, part of why I'm a fan of Madonna's album Bedtime Stories, but you want to know why?
Because Babyface and yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when Babyface and Madonna are coming together, they're both already iconic and have already both sold millions upon millions of records and won Grammys. Like Babyface was Babyface without fucking Madonna.
Well,
you feel what I'm saying?
But I will say Madonna did a little bit of that early too. Because think about it, not Holiday. What's the name of that song? It's one of her early records, not Holiday, but anyway, it sounds just like that Stephanie Mills record. And
yeah, but she also has Like a Prayer and Like a Virgin and Borderline and Vogue.
Borderline is what I'm talking about. Borderline sounds like Stephanie Mills record, and I think that they had the same producers, and she was kind of latching on to the chic producers back then. So she was latching on to black sounds early on too. But she was able to jump in and out of different, sounds.
All the sounds fundamentally are black sounds.
Right. Web Visibility with a super chat says, there are a lot of great artists who have ghostwriters. For example, if Kanye West went at Eminem, would the ghostwriter excuse work? Kanye's slightly different. I'm not just saying this as a fan because he's a producer. So we don't expect Dr. Dre to go out there and hit somebody. When Dr. Dre dissed Jermaine Dupri, we know that Dr. Dre didn't write that, and we were okay with it. Has Dr. Dre ever really wrote a rhyme?
No.
And we're okay with that. So why do we do Kanye like this?
Like the DOC has been here for Dre pretty much everything post Ice Cube that I'm aware of.
Right. And then if you want to take him out of the equation, you got Eminem, probably got Hitman.
Snoop.
Yeah, it's a lot. Because the Chronic is mostly Snoop, right? Sam Snead did some writing.
Yeah. We can keep on going, Mike. Yeah.
Leroy Green with the super chat says, what up? But Mark Curry spoke of the old guard and rap still running things. I was at ATL the last few. You posted about the graduation. What happened? Huh? You posted about the graduate. Oh yeah, yeah. You talk about Mickey Fax graduation. Yeah, that happened this past weekend. And yeah, it's kind of under the weather. So, King 121 with the super chat says, "A Marie, All I Have album is greater than any Beyonce album." I knew that was gonna happen. 007.
Hey, Mike. No, Mike. Pause for a second. Talking to me, nothing like loving you.
I was just listening to those songs yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I love those records.
Yeah,
those records are timeless.
007 with the super chat says, they go after black men digged up in their past, making sure that they fail. They need to dig up those tapes with Eminem and call him to the carpet. How did we let him get away with that? He's racist. Need answers. I mean,
I told you, Mike, and I've always said this, and I'm gonna keep on saying it. Because we love us some Dr. Dre, Mike, and Dr. Dre co-signed him, he is getting the type of hall pass about some things.
A lot.
and it's the fact that Dr. Dre has never said anything. And I want and here's where my fundamental problem with Dre not ever saying anything or acknowledging any of this stuff come from. Mike, there's this guy named Jerry Heller that existed once.
It's all entertainment for Dre, though. He said that.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
Do you know how the Chronic starts off? Starts off with Dre Day. It's the intro, which I love the intro, by the way. I love the intro to the Chronic. But it's Dre Day.
Yeah.
You dick on hard from fucking your own dogs. The hoods you grew up with. Niggas you grew up with. Don't even respect your ass. Now it's time for the doctor to check your ass.
Nah, but who wrote
Used to be my homie.
Who wrote
Used to be my ace. Yeah, Snoop probably wrote it.
Exactly.
I mean, we know Snoop wrote it.
So
when you hear the used to be my homie, used to be my ace, that's Snoop.
Yeah. Now I want to slap the taste out your mouth. Yeah, I mean that's Snoop. So it's like we don't even know what Dre really feels because he hadn't written anything.
But what I'm saying is that when you carry that ethos around about a white man pretty much tearing down, the quote unquote most dangerous rap group, and then you allow this young white man to come in and pretty much do and say whatever he wants within the space of this black community, you don't think it's a little hypocritical?
I think that, and I'm going to say this and just being fair and balanced here, I think Eminem's been very sensitive to what he says on record when it comes to the black community, since he's been on. Now, obviously, before he was on, whatever. I think the part that's staggering to me is the fact that he can openly make records about killing his child's mom many different times, in many different ways, and raping his mother and all that, and nobody says anything. Can you imagine if Future had records like that, or if Rick Ross had records like that, or if Jay-Z had a record like Kim, or if Kanye had a record like Kim? Can you imagine
Mike,
the outrage?
I'm about to up the ante of you. What if instead of Dear Mama, Tupac made Kim?
Yeah. Like, I listen to some of them records on the Marshall Mathers LP, and I'm like, the fact that no one even brings this stuff up, and this is the second highest selling rap album of all time, so you can't say you ain't heard these songs. No one says anything. That's the double standard.
No, Mike. Here's where Benzino's point is strong. When you're saying it's the second biggest rap selling album of all time, and you're saying none of us are saying anything, how many of us have actually listened to that record over and over and over again to digest it and to develop the vitriol for it? That's exactly what Benzino is actually talking about when he's talking about The Infiltration. That's the second biggest selling rap album of all time, and we don't really listen to it, Mike.
Well, if we don't really listen to it in that degree, how can we rank him so high based on that album?
I mean, when you say rank him so high, that goes back to where do you have him actually ranked? because he's not in my top 10 and he's not in my top 20. But I told you I'm cool putting him somewhere between 20 to 30 based on the skill and the quality of work of the first 3 albums.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that would say he's in their top 5. Maybe not anymore, but a few years back, he was part of that whole standardized.
Those people are wrong.
Right. But they had no reason to put him there. Like, when other people would put certain folks in their top 5, they would actually have records to go back to. And like you just said, people don't even listen to his biggest album like that, but they would still have him ranked really high. And that's a problem. It's like, why?
So you and I had this conversation. It's like during his peak, I don't think he was better than Jay, Nas, Beanie Siegel, or Scarface. So at best case scenario, in his prime at his peak, he was 5th. And that's at best. Okay, and so if you look at hip hop being 50, and he's 5th for his era at best.
Hold on. Did you mention DMX in that? Because he's not better than DMX in that time period.
No, very few people. How about this? DMX is top 20.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
And
so let's say he's somewhere between 6 to 10 for his era. Can't be top 5 or 10 all time. Like I said, if you want to put him somewhere between 20 to 30, I'm cool with that because I understand some of the things that he has brought to the game respectfully and skill-wise and lyrically speaking, and some of the things that he can do vocally and linguistically. I respect those things, I do. But to call him a top 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 rapper, well, the reality of the matter is, Mike, that's just not accurate. You don't have enough evidence if you're saying that.
Yeah, he was only really, I guess by whoever's standards, his peak was 99 to 2002. I think everyone can agree with that part. I graduated high school in 2000, not to age myself, but it is what it is. I'll tell you this, man. If I were to walk through those halls of my high school telling motherfuckers that Eminem was better than Prodigy and Jadakiss at the time, niggas laughed me out of the room. And that's just the truth.
Okay, so
not
here's the problem.
Prodigy.
No. Oh no! He's who are you talking to?
I know. Right.
I was playing the I Shot Your remix today. I was like, this nigga's all time great.
Nah.
No, he's not. But respectfully, in 1999. You can say that Prodigy, you still probably feel Prodigy more. There's still Quiet Storm. But in the overall scope of things, you would probably put M over Prodigy in that time frame, unless you're like me and like you're like a fan of Prodigy. You know what I mean?
I don't know. What about Mos Def?
Do I think he's better than Mos?
In 1999 and 2000? No. I don't.
No.
I remember hearing Mos Def.
Here's where the biases get reversed, Mike.
Yeah.
So here's where the biases get reversed, Mike. None of us that really love this shit are putting him over a Jadakiss, a Prodigy, a Mos, definitely not a DMX, a Nas, a Jay, a Scarface, and not a Beanie Siegel.
No metric. No.
You know what? And it's funny that we're talking about this. You want to know what I realized today? I've been listening to not 50 shit, but I've been listening to a lot of the G Unit shit and a lot of the G Unit albums. 50 gave about a classic and a half worth of album material to his groups and to the group album to make sure that shit did well.
He did.
And so I think we kind of maybe need to look at Mike. I was listening to Beck for Mercy and I was going through some of the hooks and I'm like, I don't know if this guy's not the best hook writer ever. He definitely had the best hook writing run ever.
He could be.
He definitely had the best hook writing. And here's how great it was. I was sitting down here and I was thinking to myself, oh, he's a better hook writer than Nas and Jay. He's not them on the mic with the bars, but as far as the hook, like Mike, I was listening to stuff. Yeah, he's just a better hook writer.
Yeah.
Like his hooks are epic, Mike. It's the best hook writing run I think I've ever heard. And I think to myself, it's like, man, if he just would have taken these songs and these hooks and he had another classic album or a half in him. And so there's a conversation that we could be saying 50 could have made about 2 or 3 classic albums instead of 1.
Yeah.
And I think he may, and this is me even saying and acknowledging it, because I'm one of those people. I don't know if I've been giving 50 the respect that he deserves, because when I'm going back and I'm listening to the shit that he did on Banks' album, the shit that he did on Buck's album, the shit that he did on Beg for Mercy, the shit that he did on the documentary, and I'm like, hold on, I'm like, this is about an album and a half worth of classic material.
Nah,
and he's already made one of the 10 to 15 greatest rap albums of all time.
No, straight up. 50's great.
50's great.
I mean, I had a couple of Mos Def moments, right? When I first heard Mos, like, I heard him on B-Boy Document. I was like, who is this guy? And then when I heard, I want to say Respiration, Black Star. It's like, this dude's incredible. And then I heard Miss Fat Booty, and I'm like, oh, no, he's out of here. I never felt like that hearing an Eminem record in that time period. Scary Movie got me. I was like, yo, he's killing it. But again, on the flip side, there was cannabis over there too. You know what I mean?
Okay. Here's what I'm saying about how the bias reverses itself. Most, like when he says stuff like, and it's not like lyrically the most precise thing, but when he says stuff like, she walked away smiling, singing Gregory Isaac, like, if I do, showing me her tan line and a tattoo, playing Sade, Sweetest Taboo, burning candles, all my other plans got canceled. We relate on a level when he says that shit, when he's talking about a beautiful black woman, the way that we can never relate to the shit that Eminem is saying.
I mean, dude came in the record talking about, and she came with the same type game type of girl giving out the fake cell phone and name. Big Fame. She like, yo, this dude different. It's funny, man. I was able to spend some time with Mickey Fax last week, speaking of the graduation and whatnot. And him and I got on this whole cannabis soapbox, and we're all around the same age. When cannabis came through, we had never heard no shit like that at the time. Like, nobody was rapping like that. The German engineering freestyle, like, shit was crazy, man. And so I think for somebody like Cannabis, I kind of put Eminem in that frame. I was like, okay, well, he's just one of them bar MCs that's just doing the, different wordplay, but he's not Cannabis. He's not Redman to me. You know what I mean? Not even Busta to me at that time, because Busta had ELE out at the time.
Mike, when you say that, and you say when Cannabis came, you don't know. There's something that now when I go back and listen to Cannabis, how about this? When Cannabis came out, I wasn't as acquainted with Eric B. and Rakim's Let the Rhythm Hit Him as I am now.
Yeah, same here.
And what I will tell you is that the lyricism being displayed technically on Let the Rhythm Hit Him is very much Cannabis-like, and the songs are way fucking better.
Exactly.
And so
that should have been the blueprint for Cannabis, actually.
Never be Rakim, never be the God.
No.
Yeah, not even close. But what I'm saying is that I think for our generation that heard Cannabis, well, because we weren't as familiar with Rakim, specifically Rakim's mic performance on Let the Rhythm Hit Him. Because if you're like me, Mike, that's around the time that I started listening to Paid in Full by Rakim.
Yep.
Not Let the Rhythm Hit Him by Rakim.
Exactly.
And this is also around the time the Cats is acting like the shit that's on It Was Written isn't some of the best shit that was ever written. You feel what I'm saying?
No, straight up.
And so if you contextualize it properly with perspective, it's like, nah, he wasn't operating on some new level that didn't get operated on before. As a matter of fact, the greatest MC of all time, it just lyrically did something way more compelling the year before, and Rakim had done it on a technical level on Let the Rhythm Hit Him in 91, 92?
Let the Rhythm
91?
91, yeah.
I think
that he was bringing something back that we hadn't heard. Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't heard it, but Cannabis kind of, like he trick is the wrong word, but we just weren't as knowledgeable about hip hop and what the bar work was like for Rakim and Nas. We weren't as knowledgeable as we are now. But when we're looking back on it, it's like, nah, it ain't like oh my God, no. Let the rhythm hit him like that.
When he says
let the rhythm hit him like that.
When he says stuff like, I walk the B lot with the G lot, C lot, trying to get the DR ops off the C ops. Like, I ain't never heard anybody put stuff together like that.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's because we hadn't heard "Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em" like
right,
that.
right.
It's like we
up.
knew, right? We knew the record. First of all, "Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em" as a song. Like Cannabis is yet to do a song like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Not many people.
Like he's yet to operate. He is yet to make a hip hop song with like literally every bar, like stellar bar work, bar for bar, rhyme for rhyme, scheme for scheme, verse for verse, and it's still a hip hop classic. And you're like, oh my god! And that's what I'm saying. Is it's like no Omega. Yeah, Mike. That's
somebody
what I'm saying.
Said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Somebody said, "Common outshined Cannabis." What song were y'all listening to?
What, making a name for ourselves?
Yeah.
Nah.
This is what I'll give Common. He's the only rapper in that time period that actually made a song with Cannabis straight up. Everybody else was every song you heard Cannabis on at that point was a posse cut. Nobody was going one-on-one with him at that time.
But that's what I mean when I'm saying he kind of got us. I think you got some super chats backed up.
Yeah, let me get some of these. Art by Nobody says crazy. With the super chat says, if these allegations came out when Diddy was at his peak, he could have just dropped a hot album and everything would have been washed over. That's why they take these brothers down later in life. It's true.
Hold on. He's right. Because
R. Kelly.
When R. Kelly made Chocolate Factory, we acted like he didn't do a damn thing, Mike, after he made Chocolate Factory. Everybody was stepping in the name of love and had the keys to the ignition.
Yeah.
And then had the keys to the ignition remix, Mike.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out which version I liked more, Mike. I was like, do I like the remix more?
Yeah.
The original version better.
Puff ain't got no way out in him right now, unfortunately.
And then, Mike, what's the shit that sound like the Marvin Gaye song on Chocolate Factory? You got, ooh, come on, baby. Show. Oh no, R. Kelly was in his own, Mike. Yeah. Made everybody forget.
Very talented artist. Very.
He's one of the most talented artists ever.
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to I Believe I Could Fly. I'm sitting here like, he didn't write any of this down either. He claims he can't read. It's like incredible.
Yeah. Mike, when I'm listening to Michael Jackson sing You Are Not Alone, I'm like, damn. I'm like, you wrote Michael Jackson's last #1 record.
Epic. No pun intended. Tater Tots with the super chat says, it says, have y'all tapped into Jewel's and Crooked's new album yet? You gotta do that. I'm gonna write that down right now.
Well, like it came out like in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the one that came out like?
No, I think it came out like 2 weeks ago or something.
Oh no, I haven't tapped into that. I need to. I can't even front, Mike. I've been off the radar the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, me too, man. Well, I mean, not off the radar, but just spinning. What else you want to cover before we get up out of here? Because my voice needs some resting.
Schoolboy Q's track listing, Mike.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Q.
What are your thoughts on Schoolboy Q's track list?
Can you pull it up right quick?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, it's written in such small fonts. You know what I mean? It's hard to see. Yep.
Love Schoolboy.
Schoolboy is dropping tomorrow, technically, I guess.
Technically.
It's Friday, really, but, you know, whatever. Let me see Schoolboy. Let's see if somebody wrote it out, man.
Yeah, Blue Lips.
Yeah, because he got these crazy fonts in there. Pop.
Funny Guy.
Yeah.
Pop featuring Rico Nasty. I think that's fascinating because Beat Butcher is the producer on that. The Griselda Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank God for Me. Blue Slides. Yearn 101. Lovebirds. Movie.
I'm looking forward to this.
Ohio featuring Freddie Gibbs. I'm excited about that one.
Oh, yeah.
Schoolboy and Freddie.
Yeah.
It's about to be really gangster and really ratchet. I love it.
Humble Bragger.
Featuring Absol. First. Nunu, Back in Love. Lost Times. Germany 86. Time Killer. Pig Feet. Smile. You know what I like? You know what I like about it?
What's that?
Solo mission, Mike. It's a solo mission.
Yeah.
Not a lot of features on here. You want to know why? Because Schoolboy Q don't need an album with a bunch of features. He knows how to make a whole damn album by his.
I was gonna say it looks like a whole album too. It don't look like an EP. It ain't gonna be no 2-minute songs.
No, it's an album, and it's been a long time. And I'm glad that he is like, for as long as it's taking for him to finish this product or to come out with this product. It's been years, Mike.
Yeah.
I told you, like, of all the West Coast guys from the last 10 years, he's my favorite guy from the West Coast of the last 10 years. All due respect to Kendrick and God bless Nip. Schoolboy Q is my favorite.
I'm happy to see Ab Soul on here too. I'm looking forward to hearing that.
I mean, Ab and Freddie are really the only like names on here.
Yeah. Humble Bragger in the Super Chat says Schoolboy's album will be better than J. Cole's. How much you want to bet? I love the energy. He's a better album maker. He's a better album maker.
He is a better album maker. You need to watch your tone.
Tater Tots in Super Chat says Prosper is the album. It came out in October. Okay.
No, I heard that. I heard that. Let's stay in 2024. Let's go back to this J. Cole Schoolboy Q thing. Schoolboy Q has been a better album maker up until now. But I told you, Mike, as soon as I heard Schoolboy Q was dropping, I was like, oh, that's an album of the year contender. Because you know what he does every time he drops? Drops an album of the year contender every time he drops.
His production choices are impressive. Always has been.
Stellar beat picker.
You know, I was.
And you want to know what?
I heard somebody bumping the track from Damn the other day when I was like at the grocery store or whatever. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
What song was that? It's like number 9 off of Damn or whatever. And I'm like, man, I ain't heard nobody play Damn in a minute. But saying all that to say,
I want to focus on Schoolboy Q.
When it comes to beat picking, I think he's the best out of the crew in that. And maybe album sequencing too. I don't know. That could be debatable because Kendrick's album sequencing is pretty great.
Okay. Okay.
What else?
It's a new year, Mike. It's a new year, Mike. I'm learning to be more positive.
Button.
And by being more positive, I'm gonna just shut the hell up sometime.
You don't think Damn was sequenced that well?
Not the second half of the album, no.
I'm gonna go back and listen to Damn again, but this week's got to be about Schoolboy.
That makes one of us that's going back to listen to Damn, Mike. You let me know how that goes for you.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know what you think. I won't be.
All right, so we got to talk about Schoolboy when this drops. I mean, this would be a perfect one to do a station head for, actually. But,
love some Schoolboy.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah. Now, what else do we have on the docket for today? Because Curry kind of just, that popped up. And that was a good pop-up.
The Roots Picnic. What's the lineup for the Roots Picnic looking like, Mike?
It's a lot of people on there. Nas is on there.
I know. I just wanted to hear you say it.
Yeah, Nas is on there. And as he should be. I mean, one of the most active MCs in the game. Let me pull up the whole lineup real quick. You know what? The Roots Picnic, they do a good job with their lineup. I think
we really need to go, Mike.
Yeah, we do. I think Sexy Red's on there.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see.
I fuck with Sexy Red. Jill Scott will be there, Mike.
That's
I'd love to see Jill in person. Love to see Jill in person, Mike.
Great.
I'm a fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that too, Mike.
All right. So yeah, it's Jill Scott, Lil Wayne and the Roots. So the Roots are gonna be back in Wayne. Nas, Gunna, Victoria Monet, Black Thought, Method Man, and Redman. That's gonna be a great performance. So that's gonna be the J. Period set. And Fantasia, Moon Along. We got Scarface and A. Marie. Speaking of A. Marie.
Yes.
Sexy Red, Babyface, Wallow and Gilly, Wale, Robert Glasper, Cameron, Let's see. Marsha Ambrosia, October London, Funk Flex, Leon Thomas. It's pretty good.
I'm not gonna hold it against.
And Andre 3000 presents the New Blue Sun live. So we're gonna get a flute performance too.
Mike, I think we need to be there.
Yeah, I think so too. What date is that?
I need to see
June
Jill.
1st. Yeah.
I need to see Jill.
We got to talk to Andre.
I'm gonna let you handle that. I'm gonna go talk to Jill.
Okay, you talk to Jill. I'm gonna talk to Andre.
Yeah, one of us is gonna have more fun than the other.
Nah, I really want to see him perform.
Now, Mike. Also, too, Nas and Black Thought are going to be at the same event.
Yeah,
that's a big fucking deal. Like,
yeah,
we'll talk about some bars.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some bars.
I mean, they may have some guest appearances from people who are great MCs too. I could see a Rakim coming out there. I could see a Kane coming out there. It can happen.
Mike, if I can get Rakim and Nas and Black Thought on stage at the same time and meet Jill Scott, we're done here, Mike. I'm gonna retire right there.
June
that happens,
1st.
I'm retiring.
We got to see Scarface too, because Scarface is going on tour as well. And after that Tiny Desk concert, man, like, Face performance game.
Actually, this is rare, Mike. I mean, greatest rapper of all time is going to be there. Best rapper in the history of Philadelphia is going to be there. Best rapper in the history of Texas is going to be there. Best rapper in the history of New Orleans is going to be there. It's a lot of heavy hitters, Mike.
It is.
And Jill Scott's going to be there, Mike.
What about Atlanta's greatest MC? Never mind.
I just said Jill Scott's going to be there, Mike.
Well, let's get up out of here, man. I promise, guys, my voice is going to be right next show. Golly, this was painful, man.
We missing any super chats?
No, I don't think we're missing any. Was there anything else that we need to cover before we get up out of here? Because I'm looking forward to hearing this Schoolboy Q, man, so we can sit on that. Speak on that one.
I mean, Scarface is going on tour, and Jeezy just did a Tiny Desk.
Yep. Did you check out the Jeezy Tiny Desk?
Hey, what'd you think?
I think that a lot of, I don't know if sonically it made the most sense because his choice of production doesn't really fit, that format.
Crossed my mind.
Yeah. So, I know Rick Ross did one a while back, and not to compare Rick Ross to Jeezy, but the musicality side of it, of the musicianship, it just kind of fits that a little bit better. Juvenile was great because, again, Manny Fresh kind of delves into that live instrumentation of New Orleans, So
I was about to say, so can I tell you something that I noticed? And I'm glad you brought up Juvenile. The Juvenile and Scarface Tiny Desk, forget the Rick Ross part. The Juvenile and Scarface Tiny Desk made me realize that Jeezy wasn't the best at picking beats.
I agree. Yeah. Well, Juvenile worked with Manny Fresh, so.
Right. And Scarface had Mike Dean.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he's Scarface, so he can make the beat too.
I never really looked at Scarface as an all-around musician growing up, but he really is. Him and Q-Tip are just like that. Like, we never looked at them like that growing up, but those guys are musicians all around. And Scarface actually plays, so he's a whole different level on that end too.
And he made the diary.
Yeah. Incredible artist.
Yeah.
Top 5?
Always been in my top 5.
Okay.
It's not going anywhere.
He's special, man.
My top 5? Like my top 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like now, if we're talking objectively, always in my top 10. Personally in my top 5.
Objectively, can we put Scarface ahead of Biggie?
Yes.
I think so too. Objectively, can we put Scarface ahead of Ice Cube?
Borderline, but most likely due to the volume of quality work.
Yeah.
Like, how about this? What Biggie and Ice Cube have over Scarface is bigger hits.
Right.
Bigger hit does not mean better song, because My Mind Playing Tricks on Me and Never Seen a Man Die is as good as fucking rap gets, Mike.
Yeah. His
It
last
doesn't get any
verse
better than that.
His last verse on "I Seen a Man Die" is epic, man. It's chilling. Like it's
doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. Like, how about this?
One of rap's best.
How about this? Never Seen a Man Die is better than Everyday Struggle. Yes, it is.
Not even a question.
Not even a conversation.
Yeah.
That's who Faith is.
There's not many songs that you could just flat out say are better than "I Seen a Man Die." It's really not. It's a handful. You got to go to Trouble T. Roy type range to that.
Oh, you got to go, Mike. You got to go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
You got to go.
You got to go to power type.
You got to go Fight the Power. Mind Playing Tricks on Me.
Yeah.
Trouble T. Roy. The Message. Dear Mama. Like, you got to go all the way to the top of the list to beat Never Seen a Man Die.
Yeah. Speaking of Trouble T. Roy, man, we got an interview with P. Rock coming up that was shot last week, and he's talking about that record and how that beat came together, how the loop came together. It was a really compelling interview. Mickey Fax did it for us. Look for people seeing it, but yeah, it should be really dope.
A minute to pray, a second to die. A minute to pray, a second to die.
Incredible record, incredible video, incredible storytelling. I mean, that's why I have Face as the #1 storyteller in hip hop, in my personal opinion. Well, you know what? No, Nas is that based on volume, but Face was that before we just start adding up Nas's stories. I'll still give Nas #1, but Face storytelling game very special.
Yeah,
he's number 2.
He's number 2. He's number 2.
I'll say Ghost is 3. Big might be 4, man. Big or Slick Rick, man. I mean, I do think that. Do you think Biggie's a better storyteller than Slick Rick?
No.
Why not?
Versatility.
I don't know, man. Big has a lot of different stories.
Most of the stories are gangster stories, Mike.
I got a story to tell.
Now I'm like, bitch, you better talk to him. For this fifth through the spark through him. Fuck around, shit get dark to him.
Couldn't help himself.
Lose a major part to him. Arm, leg. She's begging me to stop, but the cat's getting closer. I cock the toast. Sound pretty gangster to me, even though he's fucking abroad.
This is true.
Slick Rick, however, Slick Rick has The Moment I Feared.
Yeah.
He has Lottie Dottie. He has Children's Story. He has Treat Her Like a Prostitute. He literally has He has a storytelling song about anal sex, Mike. I mean,
I might surprise people on this one. I think Eminem could be a top 10 storytelling MC.
It's possible. I would tell you, for me, our 1 and our 2 are the same. It go Nas, Scarface. But then I would probably go Slick, Big, Ghost. So we got the same. You and me, we've always had the same 5 storytellers, just different order. And then Ice Cube would be 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cube's there, and I think Pac got to get some recognition too.
Yeah,
storytelling.
Oh, Mike, I'm going to surprise you with this. Hold on, Mike. Wait till you hear it. Kendrick's in that next tier conversation.
He is. No, Kendrick is. What do you think about Andre 3000 as a storyteller?
What stories? The stories he told with Big Boy?
Well, yeah. Art of storytelling.
Okay.
Yeah, he just doesn't have enough, once again.
He doesn't have enough to, like Mike, he doesn't have enough to compete with Slick Rick.
Yeah. But when he does it, he's good. Well, let me get up out of here, man. Let me get up out of here. Appreciate you guys. We're going to see y'all next week, and we're going to talk to Schoolboy Q.
Remember Shoot Sideways with Conway?
Crazy.
Good to be back.